and who knows what. Whew, okay, here we go. All right, we're going, and welcome everyone to an exciting edition of me not wanting to make an entire video about this. Well, it's an interesting video to put it nicely. I'm here with UDP and of course LiteratureDevil, and we are sort of distributing the insanity between us three, so we don't all facepalm at the same time. We got some alcohol here, we got some water, we got some pillows, and we're going to enjoy. Yes, happy America Day to everyone out there, even non-Americans. I hope you're all protesting the well, whatever's going on. I think people aren't liking the idea of Trump being the president still, so they're going to protest something about him having a parade or something. I don't know.
I had noticed people don't like Trump as president.
I don't know. Yeah, they gotta scream about, they wish they spent this money on this or that. It's like, yeah, you could have argued that throughout the year about any other program you didn't like. But happy 4th of July, America. God bless you all. And hope everything works out today, at least. Don't hurt anyone, don't drink too much, that sort of thing.
I found myself a bottle of Johnny Walker Special Edition where it's Game of Thrones. It's Game of Thrones themed.
Hey, I heard about that. Was it 2 days ago or yesterday? That was Jim Beam. Yeah, Jim Beam. There was a giant fire. 45,000 barrels got
Oh man,
destroyed in a fire, and the rest got poured out because they weren't safe. Jeez,
oh, that's awful.
that's one of
That's
my.
awful.
That is sad. That's one of my favorite bourbons.
Mm. Yeah, Jim Beam is up there. Jim Beam is pretty up there. It's pretty sad, man. It's a lot of wasted. It's a
That is a
lot of
lot,
wasted product.
and you got to imagine how much. Like that's probably not enough in the world scale. Like probably a drop in the bucket in terms of how much it exports, but still 45,000. That takes a decade to distill and ferment and store. It's like, oh, well, go out and buy yourself a good bottle of bourbon in celebration of July the 4th and whatever was lost that day. Okay, guys, so this is a video that just came out by Extra Credits yesterday. I saw it. I was flipping out. I was contacting everyone. Okay, we got to talk about this. We got to talk about this. Please help me. I can't do it myself.
How
I
the
can't
mighty have
suffer
fallen.
alone.
Honestly, if I were to make a video about this, I would be crying. I'd be like, oh my God, this is so stupid. So if we can just enjoy it, have a good time, and laugh about it, I think we'll be good. I think we'll distribute the pain, and let's get going.
Japanese wife with
Let's just
pillows
get into
ready.
it. Okay, here we go. Extra credits. Stop normalizing Nazis. Socially conscious game design.
Stop
Even the title
normalizing
sounds
Nazis.
ridiculous.
Socially conscious game design. Come on.
Is that like in that stage of socialism?
Josh, I
Sorry.
wish it was about socialism and not about some bizarre concept of inclusivity. Like, we're not including Nazis enough in game design. What should we do, guys? Oh, okay. Yeah,
There you are, playing the PvP in your World War II shooter, and all of a sudden, you're a Nazi.
I get the feeling that this is how they think America turned to voting for Trump. Like, all of a sudden you're sitting on your couch, all of a sudden you're a Nazi.
Yeah, I clicked on this wrong article, and then it's like I'm in ISIS, I'm in the Middle East, and it's like, wow, how'd I get here?
Yeah, I just sit in my room and over here in the States, and all of a sudden I just click on a wrong article. Suddenly I'm an ISIS member. I mean, it's just crazy how this stuff happens.
Usually, when I was playing Sim City, I would crank up the tax rate to 35%. I was like, oh my God, what am I doing to the proletariat? Oh my God.
Suddenly I'm
Classic.
in Russia.
You didn't ask for this. You didn't
didn't
choose
ask for
this.
I didn't choose this. There are some multiplayer games where it's just they have this balancing feature, and when you join a server, you just join whatever is available.
And as many people commented in the comments, you chose this when you bought the game. Did you not know what the game was about?
Oh,
And then we selected multiplayer.
it's like saying the Wehrmacht Nazis and the German army wasn't full of Nazis. The Nazis were a very small percentage. So you're saying that the entirety of the German army were Nazis? That's completely factually wrong. You know, it's just
Yeah,
dumb.
it's like
A lot of them.
blaming the entire political event for the people that fought in the war. I mean, that like, there's so much diversity in America for politics, even in Canada. I doubt every single military member of the Air Force, the Navy, the ground forces, they all have the same political slant. I don't think so. I think everyone's a bit diverse. So, was everyone a member of the SS? No.
No. I remember
That's it.
one of the most one of the famed heroes who fought for the German side was Rommel. He didn't really like the Nazi ideology, but he defended Germany because Germany was his home and he was a patriot.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's are you courageous and do you love your country, willing to die for it? That's the mentality, the general mentality, not everyone, but the general mentality of someone in the armed forces. They believe in courage and honor, and they want skills and to help their country in whatever way they can.
I think as well, speaking about Rommel, he actually saved a number of British soldiers from the Nazis from being put into concentration camps. So there was an honor amongst the German regular forces and the Allied forces. They would actually look after one another if they surrendered or got captured.
Okay, let's keep going.
Yet there it is. And it's treated no differently than playing a British soldier.
Yeah, exactly. That's the point. You
Yeah.
just have a color of paint that says this is World War II, and in World War II, the most famous enemy were the Germans.
He's
And
talking about multiplayer in a game about war. What does he expect them to add in there? Like like when you're a Nazi, you're supposed to have like the devil follow you around or something. Like,
yeah, I know.
what is it supposed to be showing for Nazi players that you're more evil than someone else?
And just to be clear, when you actually make these games, even with Wolfenstein back in the 90s, the German, I don't know what board it was, but there was always an oversight to any product that was coming into Germany or being sold in Germany. You were not allowed to depict any sort of swastika or any sort of Third Reich paraphernalia. And just last year, that sort of ban has been lifted. So this is a thing that people get around. So when you're talking about normalizing Nazis or normalizing the Germans, how is that a bad thing in that regard? I mean, we're not trying to say, oh, yeah, the Second World War never happened, but because of laws, in order to sell a game or to make a product or tell a story, you can't depict the swastika. You can't depict this or that. It's like, okay, but everyone knows about World War II. It's not like this big mystery. We're not like,
It's not like, sorry.
it's not like, oh yeah, millions of people died. Yeah, it's not a big deal.
It's like the Holocaust was free real estate. That's what it was.
Oh. It's a silly little attempt to say, oh, you're really now identifying as a Nazi. It's like, no. But even when I was playing these games back in the '90s, early 2000s, I just installed Wolfenstein Enemy Territory last night. Just as fun. Just same German guys going schnell, schnell, running around. It's no idea of killing the American dogs or fighting for the ethno state or anything like that. It's just a bunch of guys running around, lobbing grenades at each other and having a good time. So I don't know what the big deal is.
Yeah, you sit on a historical stage. That's it. You don't have to identify with the ideology of the people you are playing as. That would be ridiculous.
Well, we've actually got a game out. It came out a couple of months ago called Insurgency Sandstorm, and you either play as the coalition forces, like the Kurds and things like that, and you also get to play. It's like that's not a recruitment tool for ISIS. They aren't like having big swaves of just like, yeah, buy Sandstorm. You got a 50-50 chance of accidentally joining the caliphate.
Yeah, like when you were
Oops.
playing CS in the '90s or even CS Source, I wouldn't say, hey, wow, I now have skills to become a terrorist. I'm going to start putting bombs in the back of trucks. Like, no one is inspired by this. No one wants to do this.
So, I mean, what does he expect to do? Like, if you're playing as a Nazis, is everyone just like a baby or a puppy that you have to kill? It's like, are the British soldiers turn into babies and other American soldiers turn into little puppies you have to kill. Is that what they? It's because that's the only thing I can think of that
Yeah.
would differentiate these sides.
And there's nothing wrong with making fun of Nazis. Like, why wouldn't you want to be a Nazi? Oh, I just killed a Nazi. Yeah, okay, man. Like, it's, I'm the Nazi. I'm gonna like. It's make believe. It's nothing as bad or as dangerous as playing cops and robbers or cowboys and Indians. It's the same fun, silly thing, with just more technology and more twitch mechanics, I guess you could say, for FPSs. So
Yeah, the whole premise is breaks down as soon as you get to the whole you identify as a Nazi if you play as a Nazi premise that they have going on here.
this has all been done a long time ago, 20 years. Jack Thompson. This is all old news. I can't believe this guy actually believes this because he sounds very sincere. And every sentence out of his mouth is just like, ooh, no, ooh. So I know we're only 14 seconds in,
Only 14 seconds. In.
but there's something to say at every turn. So let's keep going.
Oh, sorry. Actually, when you talk about stop normalizing Nazis, it's like, well, surely not normalizing in the sense of thinking it's okay, but we have to recognize that they were human beings and that human beings are capable of doing these horrible things. That's the dreaded thing about it. That we have to recognize that yes, they did do horrible things, and humans are fully capable of doing despicable acts. So yeah, it has to be presented in the light of the public sphere.
I know, but this is just a popular thing that's happening in the West with calling Trump a Nazi and what have you. Like, what about we had a game from Roman era? Like, the Roman Empire lasted centuries. I mean, how many, like the 9th BC all up to, the 4th, 5th, like how far do you want to go? That was pretty devastating to the world in terms of conquering and death, crucifixion, and just the Prussians, the British, or sorry, the English, like all these other countries were being destroyed or conquered. No one's calling Trump a Roman. He's not a conqueror. That's a pretty big event and lasted a lot longer than World War II, at least.
It's gonna be really interesting to start calling Trump a Roman. Trump is a literal Roman. A literal Roman.
He's
all
an
these
emperor.
crucifixions what Trump is putting on.
Yeah, with all the parade, yeah, that would make more sense. Yeah. All this extravagance.
He has that what was it, the crown and everything on it. I would like to see Trump coming down that street with in a chariot.
A flaming chariot.
A flaming chariot.
When Italy threw that parade with the giant Warhammer 40K.
Oh yeah, the the Italian parade.
Like, that was brilliant. Like, everyone's like,
God
yeah.
Emperor. I was like, that was amazing. The huge God Emperor Trump statue in the parade.
I identify as an orc slayer.
I was hoping Trump would borrow that or rent that out for his parade just to make everyone mad. Or
do that for Halloween. That would have been perfect. Yeah.
Maybe he's gonna invest in some power armor. And he's just going to run around and he's going to become master of mankind. He's going to guide us into a great crusade across the galaxy, spreading democracy.
Let's go way extreme with it. Well, it has to be Trump, though, so it's going to be like a golden version of that giant statue.
Oh,
he's
yeah.
going to have 2 of them.
Completely gold-plated, so he saves money.
This is bad on so many levels.
No, it's not, but we'll find out.
Correct.
No one should ever have a random chance.
A banana?
A banana.
What's wrong? Soldier. What's wrong with being a puppy? Come on.
Why are you putting the British soldier next to the Nazi? I find that offensive.
British soldiers.
There's 2 actually.
There's 2 British soldiers. That ran that question.
Wow.
Where's Nick Cage in there?
Nick Cage.
Is it Windtalker?
I guess we had to put 2 in there because the Scots were complaining.
Was there such a demand for British soldiers to be put on the identity wheel of nonsense? I mean, what's
identify as a banana soldier?
I don't know.
A unicorn.
The Banana Republic.
The Banana Republic.
Allies are just everyone else. Just identifies everyone else except
those are all
British
the sides
soldiers.
of World War II. the Nazis, the Allies. Little did we know that the other sides included British soldiers, unicorns, puppies, and bananas. And obviously, Nick Cage is his own side.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is already a joke. This is the kind of mentality. So maybe he's just trolling everyone with this video.
It's like when you were storming the beaches, like you had like the different ones. Then you had the miscellaneous beach, which no one talks about, where everyone else.
Oh, okay.
Chance of fighting for the Nazis. And we should never express that there's no meaningful difference between Nazis and Allied soldiers, or that they're functionally interchangeable. And before anyone equivocates and says not all German soldiers in World War II were Nazis, if they were wearing the swastika and are functioning as an arm of the Nazi government, then unless the game goes out of its way to tell you specifically that your particular character is not a Nazi, then they're a Nazi.
Okay, so
Right,
he's not actually addressing which game. And as I said before, very few games, aside from the Wolfenstein series, actually have the swastika. You're not allowed. And if they do, it gets removed in Germany. So does anyone know any specific games where they actually have Nazis?
I know, like some of the you obviously got like the original Wolfensteins or what have you. They're kind of more parodies than anything else, you know, because you're going around systematically murdering them all. But most of the games that usually have German soldiers depict the generic Wehrmacht. I mean, yeah, you might have like the Nazi flag because that was the German flag at the time, which is historically accurate. But that doesn't necessarily make the army that you're fighting against Nazi supporters. They're just Germans or Austrians or any other part of the those states, really.
Yeah, and there is a distinction. That's why they have the Iron Cross to represent the German military, which is land, sea, and air. So, and that
Yeah,
was
the Chechenic Cross was from the Napoleonic era. It's nothing to do with Nazis.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a German symbol. I mean, it's something that you see that in World War One. I see that in World War II a lot. But the Nazi symbol was basically just the symbol of the political party, the political Nazi party.
Yeah, it's like having a American soldier have a donkey or an elephant
Yeah,
on their.
kind of like that.
Yeah, that'd be kind of awkward. It'd be like, well, what does that even mean to other people? It's just nothing. It's just.
I do know the new Wolfenstein games, the new revamped Wolfenstein games. They have a lot of Nazi flags. I think they might even have Nazi armbands in there too.
I know that in Germany they took those out and they replaced them with a triangle or some sort of three-pointed object behind the
Triangle?
logo. Yeah, because of that rule that in Germany, but because that rule has now been revoked, they can now release games and not have to change all the assets and remove any pentagrams or any other kind of bullshit that the advisory board says. Oh yeah, you can't you can't showcase depictions of Satanism or whatever. It's like we're telling a story about Nazis summoning demons from hell. Can you please give us a circle or something? Like it's kind of silly to remove all this stuff.
I thought everyone went on vacation during that time. All the Germans going on vacation. There was never any real Nazi party. Just all went on vacation.
Well, again, the whole mentality behind the idea of this video is that it's normalizing Nazis, and you're like,
Yeah.
okay.
What does that even mean? It's like a meaningless thing to complain over. Normalizing Nazis.
I mean, we're normalizing everything.
They existed, and they're in a game about World War II. So
This is a
that's normal.
simulation where you shoot things. We're normalizing guns. We're normalizing armor. We're normalizing
Violence.
airplanes, submarines. Like what? It's not really a submarine, but we're normalizing it. So yeah, okay.
It's not like Steve down the road in that. It's like, hi, Steve. F no state shall rise again. Yeah, he'll never get there.
Sieg Heil, Sieg Heil. How's it going?
He's just goose stepping again at 4 a.m. Oh, great.
You're only a Nazi when you're playing the game, and then when you stop,
I feel like a Nazi when I play this game. I have to go and talk to my friend now.
But if, let's say, they remove the symbol of the swastika and then they replace it with something else, say like a banana, isn't that basically associating bananas with Nazis now if we go down their thought of logic?
Well, yeah, you're now because when you normalize things, everything becomes this gray color. So Nazis are now bananas, which are now non-allies. So everyone else who's non-ally is Nazi. yeah, it becomes this meaningless value. And he actually
Nazi
advocates this
bananas.
later in his video, saying, "Yeah, we should just totally make just good guys and other guys." It's like, what? Why?
Why do we need to know whether or not? Why is it so important for him to differentiate? Why? What our character? The game has to tell you that your character's not a Nazi. Is you're controlling that character? Can't you just say my particular soldier is not a Nazi? He's just fighting for Germany. I mean, the game doesn't have to tell you.
Yeah.
Also,
Plus,
what does
there's
it
no
even matter?
flag.
Who even cares? Only this guy cares. I guess.
Yeah, when you actually load up Battlefield 1942 or something, you have to do like a 16-page survey of why you're not a Nazi.
Are you on the Nazi side? Before you can press play, you have to tell us why you're not a Nazi.
Oof. Oof. So Mad Courier just donated. Thank you, Mad Courier. Every German that lived under the Nazis and worked in some capacity during that time was a Nazi. Yeah.
That's it's not really a common misconception. It's like a rare misconception. Not every people think like that.
Yeah, what about the Austrians? What about the African states that were actually under German rule? Are they all Nazis?
Yep. Same with Japan.
Apparently
Actually,
they
the
are.
interesting thing with
They're not.
Japan, they also have a different rule for censorship. You cannot depict any historical figure in any active role improperly, or you have to just like I was showing the Persona series to UDP this morning, where they literally have a guy called the Fuhrer, who looks exactly like Adolf Hitler, but for whatever reason, they got changed. And instead of like actually making him look different, they just gave him these really big aviator sunglasses. And it's just like, what the hell is this?
It's Adolf Hitler.
So imagine Adolf Hitler in a bomber jacket with aviators. Like what?
They made him cooler.
I guess so. Like I can't tell who that's supposed to be. He calls himself the Fuhrer. I don't know.
I mean, the biggest insult is that he made Hitler as a baker or something. You know, anywhere near.
Springtime in
Sorry, demonetized.
yeah. Good lord, how many Nazi references have we made so far? Yeah, I'm surprised they actually got through with that title. I mean, whenever you
Yeah, it's
say
supposed
anything,
to be demonetized now.
yeah, whenever you write anything when you publish a video, if you have anything written with Nazi, a big red flag pops up saying, "Are you sure you want to like do this?" At least my software tells me.
Yeah, anything, even if it's like a historical
Yeah.
documentary or something.
Yeah, same thing. So who knows? Maybe tomorrow I won't be here. I couldn't tell you guys.
In that multiplayer shooter, when it switched you to the German side, did it go out of its way to tell you that the person you're playing was pressed into service under threat of their life?
They weren't. They're not Soviets.
Why would they tell you this?
There was conscription in Germany, but was it during World War II?
A lot of them were volunteers. Maybe they did start to conscript, but a lot of the time it was nowhere near as bad. I mean, obviously everyone conscripted back then for obvious reasons, but the vast majority of the German army was mostly volunteer.
And why is this important that when I play Wolfenstein Enemy Territory, that the avatar I'm playing as,
Does not agree with the ideology of the
like,
Nazi
what
party.
is he like? Why is this even relevant?
What if I want my guy to be like a Nazi? What if I want to be this evil
Yeah,
Nazi guy running around in a video game and oppressing people? What if I want to play that guy?
This super blonde, blue-eyed, muscle
Aryan.
man, just like, oh yes, kill some Americans. Yeah, like let's do that.
I
I'd
want a
love to
Nazi
play.
version of Dolph Lundgren. That's what I want to play in this video game.
I must break you and then serve you sauerkraut and Wiener Schnitzel or something. Go crazy. I don't care.
Like, do they know this? Does this video game channel know that video games aren't real? Do they know about that, or do they think this is like this other world? Are they going all Christian on us?
I don't know. It's like video games are fake. They're simulations. You know that, right?
Like, when I
Call
play
it the kill.
Grand Theft Auto, I don't really want to go around murdering and stealing cars, but I do in this video game because it's fun.
Whew. Okay. So the
He was
avatar
forced
you're
to be in this
playing
army.
in your World War II sim was not forced into service. Just
So what they want is like a little Navi character to come around and say, "You're not part of the. You were forced into the German army. Your character is not part of the Nazi party, but he is fighting for Germany." That's what they want. They want a little. They want. Hey, listen, you're not part of the Nazi party.
Yeah, the paper Microsoft paperclip pops up.
you want to join the Third Reich? Click yes.
I see you're having problems joining the Nazi party.
That would streamline it.
Like you imagine, like
is your
Cyberpunk
particular
2077 having an option. Would you like to join this political affiliation? It's like, no. Do you want to be known as trans? No. How many more questions are you going to ask me? Like, what?
I just want to play this multiplayer game. I just want to go around and shoot people. I don't care if my character's trans or Nazi or whatever.
Does his guts blow up even more if he's trans? He has more organs. Like,
Is there more violence? That's what I know. If I'm trans, is there more or less violence?
okay, we're getting another inclusion by Mad Courier. Germany did conscript large chunks of the population past 1939. Okay, so during as well as after World War II. By the end of the war, the German army was largely just conscripts. Okay, so fun. Oh, people are mentioning Watch Dogs, where you could literally become anyone or control anyone, like an old lady and random people. We'll see. We'll see how that game turns out. I'm very curious because Watch Dogs has had a sort of a rocky start, and I think it was the poster child for downgrading for a time there. So,
I find it funny if you actually ever play through that. It's like I'm the leader of the resistance. I'm trying to uncover this conspiracy or whatever. Meanwhile, you walk up to people and you just like hack an ex-cancer survivor's bank account and you just drain it completely. It's the same thing, was it? How was the game now? Prototype. The one where like the big virus thing affects like most of New York.
right.
And the guy's like trying to portray himself as this kind of like dark brooding hero. Meanwhile, he's like using civilians as like skateboards. Just like it's really all a government conspiracy. You just literally killed 15 people.
I think you can hack so like the gas lines can blow up and all that kinds
Yeah,
of stuff.
it's like completely destroyed the entire infrastructure of the city. Delaying communications of the first responders. You know, truly, I'm a hero of the city.
The hero. He's our hero, ladies and gentlemen.
Whew, okay, let's get back on topic.
Yeah, that's a big old nope. Oh, and on a similar note, let's please stop forcing people to play as terrorists as well.
Oh yeah, while we're at it, just you can't play as terrorists, you can't play as mushrooms, you can't play as plumbers, you can't play as dinosaurs. Any other terror in the world we can't play as? Was that Carrington? What was that new game that was coming out on E3? Side scroller where you play as this monster that just eats people.
Yeah, carrion.
Carrion. Like, oh, can't play as things from the thing. Can't do
Are
that.
you really a sociopath? Are you really like just a marauding monster? Yes or no?
Yeah, like wasn't
not.
wasn't the character from GTA 5 a psychopath or something? Travis?
One of them.
Yeah, one of them
Trevor?
was Trevor was. He was a literal psychopath.
Like what? What? Like why can't we do these things?
Yeah,
Are
it's
you a
like-
psychopath? Are you a real psychopath? Okay, then you can play Trevor.
Oh, okay. You have to be a psychopath first.
That's
You
why they're
can't play him
bringing
unless you're
in
an actual
VR.
psychopath.
Would you,
Makes no
imagine a game? This was the selling point. If a game wanted to turn you into a psychopath, and the series of questions at the start of the game were, "Do you want to become a psychopath? Yes or no?" And if you say no, the game won't start. So you're like, "Oh, okay. Well, I guess I do. Let's see what happens." And then you try really, really hard not to be a psychopath because, again, when someone says, "If you do this, you're going to be X," in your brain, you're mentally going, "Okay, you know what? I'm not going to do X." So you think there's this big sort of mind screw that at the end you're going to become a psychopath. So you're constantly thinking about, okay, I'm going to avoid doing bad things and this and that. Like that's an actual phenomenon. It's been documented in clinical trials where they have double blinds and giving you tests of like don't turn the page or don't do this, and people end up doing it because they were told not to. So I wonder if that would actually create like psychopath simulator or psychopath generator. Like you're going to become more violent if you play this game.
Psychopath simulator.
Yeah, like imagine all the violent video games we've had so far where kids have not turned into psychopaths. And now we're having a game which is not subliminally, but directly telling you, you know what, kids, you're going to want to slaughter your goldfish and light fires and do all these bad things within 2 months of playing this game. And you're like, what? Okay.
Do
Makes
you want
you,
to become a psychopath?
makes you wonder about Alien versus Predator, doesn't it? You know, the gestation of a xenomorph. It's like, oh, we've got a sudden influx of like people humping each other's faces. You know,
Do you really want to hunt down human beings? Yes or no?
Yeah, I can't wait to
a
be a
skull
space
collection.
marine.
Imagine if the video game came out and told you, like, they paused the whole game and then came out with a comment, just like a Navi-esque character comes out and says, you know, you're not actually a predator alien, right? Like, I just want to let you know that you're not actually an alien. This particular character is an alien, but you as a player are not. Just want to pause everything to let you know that. That's what they're proposing here. You are not a Nazi. Just want to remind you right
Because
now
they
that
haven't
you are
told
not
us.
a Nazi.
Yeah, they haven't told us. Yeah, by the way, you're not a Nazi, but it's okay if you make believe and have a good time. Okay, bye now. It's like, come on, how much hand holding do you need here, people?
You're a strong, independent human being. You're stronger than this.
What
Don't
is-
play.
Stupid safe space culture. You gotta have hugs and emotional validation at every turn. You gotta remind people they're not Nazis.
You are not a truck. You are not a tank. You're not a ship. It just looks like, from the first person perspective, you are actually a ship navigating the ocean, but in reality,
But you're not. How dare you? How dare you? I identify as a ship. My
I'm
gender
a
is a
schooner
ship.
from the 17th century.
Lego's Kantai
I'm,
collection.
I'm a tank gender.
Yeah, you know, there's an entire genre of Japanese mobile games that have to do with turning cute girls into battleships. I don't understand that, but it's
Oh,
a
that's
it's
what
a
all this.
phenomenon.
This is Japan's fault. We have all this craziness now.
It's really, you know, and Japan was part of the Axis, so really it all comes down to Nazism. So
There you are, playing your modern shooter, and all of a sudden you're a terrorist.
damn it,
Really?
gotta join ISIS now.
I'm
I had
gonna
no
join.
idea.
I'm gonna play the side that's ISIS. Okay, are you really an ISIS member? No. Okay, you can't play this.
Yeah, that would be perfect for the FBI. I'd be like, okay, we got
Yeah,
like
that'd be really good.
200
Okay,
subscriptions the past minute. What do we do?
All right, we had 200 people identify as ISIS. Let's go get them.
It's like a big clever ploy by like the counter-terrorism service. It's like, right, we've got them. They're playing Call of Duty, lads.
Let's get them.
That one ploy I heard of where they had like they set up a raffle for a green card, and then but you have to enter it. But you can only enter it if you're not a citizen and you're living in the United States. It's like, okay, as soon as you enter your information, they're coming to get you. Like that sort of ploy, but for ISIS members.
Whew.
I mean, that's
You
like
didn't-
calling Flight Simulator, you know, terrorist inspired, isn't it? You know, you get to crash into buildings.
It's a plane simulator. Oh dear.
Yeah, it's like that's what they're insinuating. It's oh, we can't have played to that because something happened in the past. It's like, well, yeah.
I learned about throttle and velocity and leveling my wingspan. Uh-oh. He's one step away from ramming that plane into something. Ooh.
To ask for this, you didn't choose this, and yet second verse, same as the first. There it is. I mean, that's literally the name of your side in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you not know what game you're purchasing again? Like, I'm buying a
Count.
game where has multiplayer where Nazis fight allies. What? They're making me play as a Nazi? What is this? I didn't sign up for this. Terrorists win.
I
Oh
think
no, we've lost the Middle East now, lads. That's it.
I think the idea of actually having a series of checkpoints or things to do on a multiplayer game where you have to blow something up, the natural and simplest thing is like, okay, there's a group of people who want to blow something up. What does that remind us of? Oh yeah, assassins, saboteurs. I mean, you could take that from the French angle, from how far back, how many hundreds of years do you want to go back? But if it's an actual piece of C4, okay, let's make that modern. Then what do we look at? We look at modern military stuff, American insurgencies, Saudi Arabia, Iran, go to Iraq. Yeah, people have improvised explosive devices. It's easier to identify as a cultural motif or as a visual motif or as a social motif, whatever media you want to stick into your game with that group. And that's as far, it's completely surface level. There's no great narrative to a multiplayer game. You're not trying to prove some political struggle that works through gaming or something. No, you're just having fun. So this entire angle this guy is taking is, it's as if he doesn't understand game design or doesn't. No, he doesn't even understand games.
It's not reality.
Yeah, no, it's like he's one of those over watching parents that don't understand what their kids are doing, whether they're playing with toys or whatever, and go, oh, if Johnny keeps fighting that dinosaur, he's going to get really violent growing up, and he's going to beat people up, and he's going to be a bully. I better take that away. It's like, what, where, how, where did your brain go to think this way? And somehow
Like
this guy has his own
the
YouTube channel.
same people who think that the children playing video games that have magic inside them will actually teach them how to perform magic and use magic wands, like in real
Satanism,
life.
yeah. I gotta raise the devil. Oh no!
They're really going to do this. They can actually use magical wands in real life because they played this game.
Oh, Harry Potter, man, the amount of backlash from that is quite hilarious. Like,
Teaching our kids how to perform magic.
Oof. See, that's why I always say when you have something offensive on the left or that the left is arguing for, you want more of it. You want to showcase more violence. You want more depictions of sex and female prostitution or any sort of bad things, because then you'll have a narrative within an actual story, aside from obviously a shooting up game or FPS, but a story where you have characters where these events are depicted, and you go, oh, there's an example. This is something I can now have a discussion with. Say, hey, in that movie I just watched where it was about this, I also played a game. It also had that. They talked about this and that from this time period and how it was good or bad. You need that. If you take it out of the media, then you're never going to experience it, at least from a safe perspective of a movie or a book or a game. So whenever they say, oh, this is bad, you shouldn't have women being depicted in the Wild West this way, or moderns, that you're hurting prostitutes and their depictions and how they're going to feel. It's like, no, put them in there. Put as much content as you can. Try to be as accurate as you can, if you want to go for realism, of course. And that is going to help the narrative of people being aware of these elements, and then they can talk about them. Say, hey, you know what? I killed a hooker in GTA accidentally. Oh, what did you do? Oh, I was backing up and I ran into them and I felt kind of stupid. It's like, yeah, you're an idiot.
A good strategy was to get the hooker and then I think go to the a mini game or whatever, and then kill her and get the money back and say, all right,
Yeah,
ready to go. Because you're a criminal. You're a psychopath in that game. That's what you do. You go around, you stab people in the back, you steal from people, you murder people, you steal cars. This isn't not going to make you a criminal. Because I'm not sure this video game channel knows this anymore, but real life has consequences where a video game does not.
right. And I think because of Jack Thompson, of that shooting that happened in the late 90s, of that guy who, this is like just when the internet was getting connected or the internet was being connected. They had like all these violent games and porn and whatever, and they thought, oh, okay, Jack thought, okay, well, this is what's causing this, and obviously he's wisened up since then, but we've dealt with these issues. We've gone through scientific studies. We would have had an epidemic of violent people throughout the planet.
Yeah, but it got calmer. Everything we have less violence now.
Exactly. So it's good that we have these things.
it's like they actually find out like Hitler's actually time traveling. He has a copy of Doom in his back. It explains it all.
And we could have probably less Nazis now because the way Nazis are depicted in video games is either as the bad guys or as jokes. It's either one or the other. There's no video game that I know of that has Nazis in a sympathetic light unless it's a specific character. Like if it's a character who's on the Nazi Germany side and they have their own little story. But other than that, Nazis are either two-dimensional bad guys that people love mowing down in video games, or they're just flat out jokes. That's it.
I still like the idea of, you play a game and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna do drugs, I'm gonna kill lots of people. Then suddenly you turn off the game. It's like, I'm a fully functioning human being with a conscience. It's not how it works, mate. It's like, damn you, conscience! Evolution, curse you!
Laws, rules, ethics, morals, family, friends.
The general thing of not wanting to be a bad person in society, Oh, such hardships, man.
They want games that come out with a little aside. It says, okay, you are about to play a psychopath, but you are not a psychopath.
You just
You are
pretend
not a
to be a
Nazi.
psychopath and you're killing all of these people.
It's like, okay, I know this. I just want to play the game. Thanks, Mom.
It's like
Get out of my video game, Mom.
It's like the no Russian level. It's like, do you want to play this level? Yes. By the way, don't do this in real life. It's like, oh.
Oh man, I was about to go do this in real life. Good thing you told me.
Yeah. This
Have you told a serial killer not to kill anymore? It always works.
Shooting people is wrong. Oh.
And people who are going to go out and shoot people are going to go out and shoot people whether or not you say it's bad.
Whew.
Like, Oh, okay, I was going to do that, but you wagged your finger at me, so I'm just going to not do that.
Yeah, when a school shooter is about to knock down, you just go, no, bad shooter, bad. It's like,
we don't need guns or security guards in schools. You get a school shooter. No.
booking on the nose.
You stop
No.
that right now. Those spray bottles. Oh, great. Lays down the gun, walks away.
And assault with his tail between his legs. Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, 1 minute, 20 seconds. We're going to survive every 10-second burst, guys. It's pretty detailed. Here we go.
We can do better than this. Even if you put aside all of the people who have had traumatic experiences with these groups, who have
Oh, here we go.
Oh, come on. Oh my
Think
goodness.
of the
Good thing you did not
children.
do this on your own. This is ridiculous. What are you talking about?
Think of the casualties of the last World War. Think of this. It's like, okay, yeah.
No one's going into a catatonic state because they're playing a game where you shoot Nazis.
Well, by extension, then we should be. If, let's say, for example, you got like the survivors of World War II. Then why aren't we removing every single movie that's depicting World War II? Isn't that like a horrible flashback to these people? Like,
And
just
what
get
about all
rid
the
of
games
it.
what about all the games where you can shoot cops? Like, okay, should we just get rid of those games because of all the trauma the cops, the different police officers might encounter and have to go to
They don't
counseling?
care about that though. So the cops' lives don't matter to those people. So
Oh yeah, blue
It's
lives
okay.
don't matter to them, I guess.
yeah.
I mean, they're playing this sympathy card pretty strongly. It's like, oh, if we only thought of the victims of the last World War, then we have to make games.
Sorry, I'm offended you with my video game that I'm playing.
Yeah.
It's not like
Can't see me play.
it's not like Jewish people walking around like checking every bush in case like, oh Hitler, oh you, oh caught me again, have you?
Jewish people just hiding in bushes. Hey, you're playing that game again, weren't you? You're playing that World War II game. Did you play as a Nazi? Yeah. You know how that affects me? Nothing, no way at all.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then I refer back to the Roman Empire, how much centuries of conquest and destruction they did, and why aren't there are people calling again? Why they are calling all of our strongest people in the world, the strongest countries in the world, Romans, and why aren't we throwing our arms up and they're calling Trump a Roman and all this other nonsense? It's because Nazi is the flavor of the year, or the day, as it were.
It has all the stuff that they want tagged along with it. It's like the evil, bigotry, all the ists, all that stuff. It's
Yeah.
all in nice, one neat little package.
Even though it's the opposing political spectrum.
Yeah,
But,
it's not the National Socialism was a left wing because economically they're large government versus the right wing, which is smaller government. But that's it's inconvenient truth.
technical detail. I just don't the one they
The
actually
whole
believe
basis
in.
of the entire ideology, but technical detail.
They are actually closer to being a Nazi than the other. It's like, well, you hate yourself now. Ooh, okay. But yes, victim and victim shaming and all that stuff is bad. Ooh, okay, here we go.
There's other other PvP shooter games other than World War II ones. You don't have to play World War II PvP shooter games. You can just, if you're offended by that, which I don't know why you would be, but if you are offended by that, you can just, I don't know, not play it, not spend $60 to buy it. There's always that option. You're not forced to buy these things.
What was that future Battlefield game? Battlefield 2142
It's
or
like
something.
Modern Warfare, and then the Modern Warfare became its own series.
Yeah, I mean, that, like, what are you gonna do? Like, oh, the space marines. Oh, we can't. We have to think of the families of the space marines and the aliens we're It's like, okay,
With the aliens, you got to, aliens' lives matter.
oh, okay.
Yeah, you see, that's why I'm actually like, because I'm a HBO Warhammer 40k player. It's why we're all bottled up here on Earth. Because if we expand outwards, we're going to start killing every single filthy Xeno.
Whew.
Deport you back to Mars.
Yeah.
We must stop Elon Musk. Here we go.
Telling illegal aliens coming to Earth.
Elon Musk has a solution. Oh my god.
I'm going to slap you so hard you don't know your demos from your phobos.
Lost loved ones to terrorists, or who have had generations of their families wiped out by.
Okay, I think these are mausoleums, and there's like dozens of bodies in them.
Yeah,
Because those are really big.
it kind of exists.
Unless it's
Also,
the artist's interpretation of like a tombstone, but they're
The far
little.
left loves terrorists. I mean, they love the terrorist side. They hate They hate the Western culture, and they love the terrorist side. That's why they keep joining ISIS over and over again, and then coming back saying, "Hey, this wasn't the best of ideas," and they expect to be taken back with open arms.
See, I could buy this from like a Spider-Man motif where he sees the death of his uncle because of his choices. Not, hey, I'm playing a FPS with my friends and other random people online. I gotta think of families that died during the Roman Prussian conflagration of the second BC. Like, no.
Does he propose that he give like a long lecture you have to read when you're chosen to be a Nazi soldier? Okay, this is what the Nazis did. They oppressed lots of Jews and killed a bunch of gypsies and all kinds of and they oppressed people of various sexualities. Like, I don't want to know all this. I probably already know all this. I just want to play a game where I shoot people competitively.
Yeah.
Nazis. No one should have to put on the costume of an ideology they find abhorrent.
This is not an ideological costume. This is
Also,
literally.
you don't have to. You don't have to because you don't have to play this game.
That's true.
It's not it's not a federal mandatory game that you have to play. It's completely your option whether you want to
But
play it or not.
I have this shrinking feeling that every military of every country has roughly the same ideology. That is, we love our country, we want to protect it, we believe in honor and courage and duty. Every single military I can think of that is still standing, of course. Obviously, there could be some extremist military organizations which are like kamikaze fighters or whatever.
Yeah.
But every military I can think of is pretty honorable, pretty special in their own right. Whether you're a small country or a big country, whether you've done been in lots of wars or lots of small skirmishes, it's the same mentality. So the ideology of a military organization is a good thing. It's usually a very good thing. You meet these people; they're very humble, they're very focused, they're very disciplined. And these are all good qualities to have. You never get the weakling or the weak-willed or the non-go-getter or the guy who's not dedicated in a military organization.
Yeah, they don't survive. They get kicked out.
They get kicked out, or they just
they drop out, something like that.
Yeah.
They don't survive. You have to have a special mentality. You have to have a lot of good qualities to be a successful member of the military.
Right. And again, even those that were part of Germany at the time were doing their duty because that's what military is. That's what organizations with a hierarchy are. You do whatever someone above you says. If you're going to kill the enemy, that's what you signed up for. It's sad, true, but that's war. And in a video game, yes, we're making light of that by virtue of playing a game, but that's the point. We want to have fun and enjoy and kick back and not worry about all the actual social details that we already possess, that we have to go through in manners, in voice, in talking and addressing other people, because we need to be nice and caring and considerate. We want to let those things go, and maybe we want to rant and rage and swear and let loose. And why not dress up? I'm actually advocating dressing up as a Nazi now, because it might sound like a good form of catharsis to be an evil son of a gun who just wants to kill some infidels, or I don't know, whatever.
I mean,
Whatever.
there's a lot of these options out there. Like if even in things like Mass Effect, where you can play Renegade or the Paragon, or
Yeah.
you can be this renegade guy who just punches people in the face and goes around and sacrifices things, or you can be the upstart, and you can be the Paragon noble hero. People love being able to sometimes take a step back and explore a state of mind they don't currently possess, or something that's opposite, something different than the norm. I mean, that's why you get a lot of people who want to play evil characters, and nobody really knows how to play evil characters or write evil characters. It's
Which
it's that's something that people just want to try. They don't want to be evil. They just want to try it out.
which would be cool if that was actually true in the games this guy is even talking about. But there's no social background. There's no story with. You're just jumping into an avatar and off you go.
Yeah, I'm on this side. I'm supposed to defeat the other side. That's the only mentality here.
That's it. Yeah.
Remember Dragon Age, where you have to save Connor, and you have the option to basically, if you go into the demon realm, your character's a mage, you can basically kind of go, well, you know what, sod him, I'm going to bang this demoness chick and get some magical powers from it. Good luck, Connor. Enjoy your life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a whole game out there. I forgot what it's called. I think it's called Tyranny. You play the only option is to play a bad guy. That's
In
that's your whole
Overlord,
thing.
yeah.
It's an isometric RPG. But it's called Tyranny, and your only option is to play a bad guy. But it's not making you a bad guy. You're just exploring the story in which you are on the side of an evil overlord.
Yeah. It's actually one of my more favorite not turn-based real time with pause games. I did a review on it on my channel. And
I
yeah,
just started.
there's the overlord, and there's like all these other people that are beneath him, and you're like sort of on a level slightly beneath those guys,
Yeah.
and you're going around doing their bidding. And you do make ethical choices. They're mostly like between two bad, like one choice is bad, but one's even worse.
Yeah.
So it's really fun because you get to play in this regime, which is so deadly. And it's kind of like I'm trying to describe a fantasy world, but like really really low. Like they have like copper and metal and iron and all these other magical artifacts, but it's all sort of magical fantasy, but like very primitive. But there's all these magical powers and what have you. So it is cool because you do get more power, and they sort of bring the whole hero trope back where you end up becoming like a god to the point of challenging the overlord. But
Mhm.
it's cool that you start from there and you just sort of understand why the world is the way it is. So that's a totally different game, but actually does take the concept of being within an evil regime, or not an evil. I wouldn't say evil. It just a conquering regime, and the people in it are definitely violent, like super violent. There's one group, they're just crazy. They take whatever they want, they kill whatever they want, and they just keep conquering. And they base it off numbers, as opposed to this other group, this other regime, or other faction, which is like, no, we take the best, and we just do what we're supposed to do, and that sort of behavior. But yeah, I wish that conversation was about a story-based game in this video, because he's
Yeah, I
just
mean, he has more. He would have more of a point if it was like a game that's centered on politics, like Crusader Kings or maybe even Total War, something like that. But it doesn't. It doesn't have. It's not a
yeah.
political game. It's not a social game. It's a game where you have guns and you shoot people. That's it.
Yeah, Total War, Warhammer would have been a lot better to talk about, at least within the context of what this guy's talking about. So, free to play
It'll be
FPSs.
wrong, be really stupid still, but he'd have more of a point.
Well, he'd have to reference something so we could say, okay, that's
Yeah.
what he's talking about. Great. As opposed to, when you play an FPS with your buddy and you suddenly you're a Nazi, it's like, no, no, sir, sorry.
without actually opting into it in your game. And by making people do so, we get them to stop thinking about it, to stop thinking of the meaning behind these things. We normalize them.
Okay, this is probably the most offensive part of
Yeah.
the video for me, because when I talk about games and I talk about stories, the whole point of critical analysis is to find meaning in these sorts of experiences. Now, when you're talking about finding meaning in an FPS, we're not normalizing the experience to the point of losing meaning. We're normalizing it so everyone can have a fun time, so everyone can get in, and we have Punk Buster, we have balances, we have location, we have frame rates, we have ping rates, we have all these things. And the point is not to have this amazing, meaningful experience. The point is to have the best action-packed experience with everyone else, and you're not slowing the server down, and everyone can communicate well. And yeah, you're going to swear and if there's voice chat, but that's the point of this product. If he's talking about another game where historical accuracy might be relevant, where you want to do some sort of anachronistic thing where you have like Nazis and they won the war and now they're in 1980s and what would the world look like, then you want to be pretty true to what happened in the war so it translates well to the future. So there's all these things you can do with meaning for game design, but not when you're talking about a game that's an FPS and it's designed for multiplayer. So that to me is like that takes the whole point of being a critic and saying, oh, you know what? By the way, I have this very well-to-do YouTube channel and I talk about video games, and you're just losing all the meaning unless you listen to what I'm saying. It's like, no, dude.
You know how you're playing video games? Yeah. Look at them. Well, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
You're playing video games wrong.
You're watching movies wrong. You're watching TV wrong. You're reading books wrong. These are the kinds of people that have lost their minds, or think they're.
If you don't play a Nazi and feel bad about playing a Nazi at all times, then you're doing it wrong. You have to feel bad.
The Oculus Rift now a self-flagellation device.
Okay.
Gives you a little shock every time you play as a Nazi.
Yeah.
Feel bad. You're supposed to be feeling bad right now.
Don't threaten me with a good time there, please don't.
It's one of those things that just sort of irks me for no real reason aside from that's because we do critiques on this channel, and I'm sure other channels as well that do actual critical analysis. And to say you strip away the meaning, it's like, no, you're just putting a coat of paint that is easily identifiable that for whatever reason these guys are offended by. And you're sitting there going, well, just don't play the game. Don't think about it. Don't worry about it. Play the game for what it's worth, which is an action-packed multiplayer experience. It's not a story time where you have to deal with the ethics and morals of who and that you can serve. Like, imagine what was the Steven Spielberg movie about World War II, Schindler's List.
Oh yeah.
Where there were depictions of people trying to survive in that world, and there was the woman who was in love with one of the officers, and the officer was like, oh, should I care for this person? And he ends up not, and he sees her as just a dirty female who happens to be non-German or whatever. And like that's where you deal with these issues. That's where you can. That's kind of the point, the drama behind it. Now, if you were to make a game like that where you had multiple choices and ethics were part of that, that'd be kind of neat. And I don't know how historical accurate you have to be for that to be realistic or believable, but that is a good thing. You want those things. So I don't think, hopefully, that the gentleman in question here about the video would say, yeah, that's good, or that's not good. I don't know how sensitive he would be, because at this point it's like, what would work for this guy? Like, does he want a story-based game? Does he want an action-based game? Like, what is non-offensive to him? I wouldn't know.
He's playing a strange. Yeah, that is true. He's playing a strange critique, like a different set of critique standards to something that doesn't deserve them. Like he's talking more about like a game that should be a story time game, like you're saying, but he's applying it to an action game. It's kind of like trying to break down something like the Expendables with the same criteria as you would the Godfather. How come we don't see more about Barney's family experience? I don't care about his family experience. I want him to shoot people and beat up bad guys, and I want there to be explosions. Now, if I'm watching The Godfather, that's when I want to know breakdowns of the family and their history and all that stuff. So, I mean, you have to critique what you're looking at correctly. I'm not expecting that many explosions and shootouts in The Godfather. I'm expecting more drama.
Yeah, imagine if the Godfather, like I think this is what this guy is getting at. Like he wants all games to be like the Godfather. He wants them all to be this amazing
That would be really
story,
dumb.
regardless of
That'd be
genre.
stupid.
And imagine if Michael or whomever in the story just started pulling out a rocket launcher and blowing away the opposing family. It'd be like, oh, that's
Admittedly, I would like that, but it wouldn't be The Godfather anymore. It wouldn't have the same. It would be an action movie now, which would be totally different. But it
see
would be interesting
maybe
to see
for
Michael
your
Corleone going around
sensibilities, yeah, for your taste, you'd be like, you know what? I really like the Godfather. I really like John Woo. Can we just like mash those together?
with Michael Corleone with doves and everything.
Like
Flying through the
infinite
air.
ammo.
Talia's like this android, and Barzini comes in. He's like a ninja. That would be interesting if it was like a remake, like an Americanized remake where it's all like that, but it wouldn't be The Godfather anymore. It would be an
Right.
action movie now.
Exactly.
So you could apply the same sort of criteria standards to that version of The Godfather as you would to The Expendables, but The Godfather would still be its own little drama. It's different here. The guy in the video here does not seem to realize that there is a difference.
Yeah, it's strange. It's because usually when you find meaning, you're coming from a place of ignorance. You're saying, well, there is no meaning. I'm going to look for it, and then if you find none, you say, well, should there even be meaning in the first place, and why not? And then you say, oh, the genre is about shooting things. It's not about multiple choices and consequences for your actions.
Social politics or anything like that.
Exactly. Yeah, it's not about that.
It's like Doom Guy. He's just so angry. He's basically an angry Usain Bolt going around ripping demons apart. There's
Yeah,
no
I don't
political
care about the
allegory there.
hierarchy and politics of the demons I'm killing. I just want to be this Doom guy destroying demons.
What was the original premise of Doom? It's like they killed your hamster.
They're like some sort of company that you're working for or
UAC.
guarding or something. Yeah, they find a gate to hell on Mars, and everyone dies except for this Marine.
Well, yeah, the original one was you're the Marine QRF that's sent in there, and the opening to Doom 2, however, was that because they killed your rabbit, that's when he goes on a rampage in Doom 2. But kind of going into this idea of like, because he's talking about people being influenced by and therefore turning into Nazis. Well, the United States military actually conducted a lot of investments into trying recruitment tools, and obviously one of those was America's Army. And there's plenty of other games out there, like the Battlefield 2 and what have you, and obviously they depict mostly United States Marine Corps. There's only a few games that have the US Army in there, but for the most part, those as recruitment tools don't actually work. So, it's like people get recruited for varying different reasons, not through playing a computer game. It's not like you're Master Guardian Major Sergeant Ron, level 35. You've unlocked the ACOG on your M4. Do you want to join the United States Army?
No,
Not how it works, Fast track, you get $5,000 with a Chevrolet.
I remember when America's Army came out and everyone loved it. They loved playing it, but no one wanted to join the army.
Yeah,
It was still fun. It was fun, but no one wanted to join the army after that.
Yeah, because for the most part, the army's just you sitting in a foxhole throwing rocks at each other. It's just being cold, wet, and miserable. That's what it is.
Come join the army today. No, thank you. I want to continue playing your game, though. It's pretty cool.
We make them just window dressing for entertainment.
Yes. Yes, that's right. They're window dressing for entertainment. Exactly. You see, this is where the argument between finding meaning is sort of stupid. It's like we don't need to put more crap or more something where it doesn't belong.
Not in my shooter. I don't need some philosophical meaning and all this stuff added to a shooter. I mean, at least not in the multiplayer version of that shooter. Maybe in the story campaign, you might be able to fit that in there, but I don't need people preaching philosophy and social politics at me while I'm trying to hunt down Skank Hunt 415.
Nor would you probably want it in the single player either. I think that would be pretty sad.
Yeah, probably not. But I mean, if they want to add it somewhere, it would probably be better, more successful anyway in the single player. But I would highly suggest against that too.
Can you imagine, like, every time you have to pull, you're aiming down at someone, then the game slows down to bullet time. It's like, do you really want to do this? Do you really want to take a human life? I don't know.
The soldier is a member of the Allied forces who helped liberate blah 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 all that stuff. Like, do you really want to pull this trigger?
Okay, from Astral Storm, this guy would be outraged because this donation is completely not tied to the chat topic. There's no plot. Oh, thank you. Okay, he's just. I don't like people congratulating me and me myself reading. It's kind of embarrassing. So let's just keep going.
Those uniforms, those symbols, become things that no longer inherently revolt us.
Okay. Oh, Jesus.
The Iron Cross, and once again, we've said this, it's not a Nazi symbol.
There's nothing wrong with the Iron Cross, guys. Okay? There's nothing wrong with the German military.
Well, the German helmet, like, that was a World War One thing. Like,
Right. This is, I mean, it's as if this guy either doesn't have the historical understanding, he doesn't have the background to start talking about these elements, and he's literally pointing to them. He's pointing to the helmet. He's pointing to
right to the Iron Cross and the helmet. Those are not Nazi symbols.
These are like, I don't even know how historically accurate this helmet is, but it looks like it's from World War One, apparently. But these are not good or bad things. And even if they were exaggerated things, like say the helmet's gigantic or too small or made of paper, whatever, it's window dressing. It's all stuff for the sake of saying, hey, you know what? This is a German dude. Hey, you know what? This guy's Japanese. This guy over here, he's a Viking. This guy, we don't know who he is. He looks like a redhead. Who knows? Like, there's all these kinds of motifs we use to easily identify with a stereotype. And it's neither good and it's neither bad. It's just historically identifiable.
I always get the feeling from these people, like, they want to just expunge parts of world history. Like, they want to forget things like the Nazis and the Holocaust and stuff. They want video games and everything to just push them aside as if they never happened. But you know the old saying, if you don't remember the history, you're doomed to history. So I mean, this is why it's important to remember these things, no matter how tragic or traumatic it is or problematic it might be. To remember these things, it's important to remember these things because we learn from our mistakes. And maybe I know far leftists and NPCs, they don't learn from their mistakes. The world is wrong; they're not wrong. But to normal, everyday, average people tend to learn from their mistakes, and so it's good to remember what they've done, why they were wrong, what they did wrong, so they don't do that in the future. I mean, so in equivalence, if we forget about the Nazis and the Holocaust, because might be doomed to repeat such a weird and tyrannical era. But they want to forget that, and ironically enough, they keep using the term Nazi and all that stuff and fascist to deter people from voting right wing or with anyone they disagree with. So they utilize it, but they want to get rid of the power behind it. They want to get rid of the reasons why not the terms like Nazi and the tyrannical era they represented have that power to begin with.
They're trying to subvert things that are known, and we don't know why exactly. And it's like they're admitting they're bad, but they
want to forget why.
I don't know. It's hard to say. There has to be some disconnect between history and their current political sensibilities, because it's as if they're trying to find a reason to hate their opposing viewpoint, and they're using media to do so, and I'm not sure why. I can't quite put my finger on it because it's bizarre.
Because it's not like Nazis are reviled enough, are they? You know,
I mean, my God, like anything associated with supremacy, whether it's white or black or this or that, with ethnic centricism, anything.
If you listen to these people, at least at least for a few minutes, you would think that the whole world is turned to Nazism. Everyone's a Nazi. Everything's a Nazi. Everything is racist.
Well,
It's not like at local elections. You're like, vote for this guy. He's a Nazi. I'm not too sure about his agreement on healthcare, but it seems pretty good to me.
Oh, he's a Nazi. Well, this guy doesn't really like big government. Oh, he's a Nazi. This guy wants to lower your taxes. Oh, he's a Nazi. That guy's a Nazi because Republicans want to lower taxes. So right wingers want to lower taxes. That's Nazism right there. If there's one thing Nazis are known for is lowering taxes and being small government.
Providing more liberty and freedom to the individual. Yeah, that sounds about right.
More freedom with individualistic freedom. Well, that's Nazism right there. How can you vote for that?
Well, if he wants to start building some waterways and dams and pour some concrete to make roads, I guess. Oh, he's a Roman now.
He's a Roman.
Start building some aqueducts. Oh.
That guy's a Nazi. What about that guy? Well, he's a Roman. That guy's an imperial.
What other regimes throughout the
He's
history?
a Praetorian.
He's a Mongolian. Oh my god.
That guy is a Mongolian.
Yeah, it's like there's a reason why the Chinese still have that wall up, right? They take it down and suddenly the Mongolians just
Mongolians. Mongolians?
Wasn't that South Park? Was it
South Park joke.
Futurama?
He tried to build a wall to protect the kids from the rest of the world, but the Mongolians came up as soon as he started building his wall. He started tearing down his wall.
It's also a Futurama episode. Yeah, it's the Futurama episode where they accidentally go through the Chinese wall and the Mongolians just come pouring. It's like they've been waiting for 5,000 years.
And that's our chance. The wall is down.
They reduce our visceral reaction to seeing the embodiment of these ideologies.
No,
I'm
it doesn't.
inherently revolted by the Iron Cross.
How does the Iron Cross fit incorrectly, which depicts Nazism incorrectly?
I'd like to note here that he's pointing to the specific things he's talking about, and one of those specific things is not the swastika. He's talking about the helmet and the Iron Cross.
Yeah, but it's supposed to be representative of an ideology, and it's like, which ideology? Can you be more specific?
Maybe German patriotism.
Yeah, but under the context of an FPS, what are you talking about?
Under our context of FPS, I don't care. That's how I identify the guy.
That's what I mean. The guy's trying to say this is a bad thing. We're being desensitized to it. And it's like, what are you talking about? What, violence? Yeah, okay, it's violent, yes. And where's the ideology? Killing people is not an ideology.
It's an act.
You're doing something. It's a war. You're fighting.
That's what all wars tend to do.
Everyone wants to kill each other
against another side.
Should it be like paint guns? Should it be rubber bullets? What do you want, buddy?
Paintball.
The ideology of rubber bullets. Okay. Yeah.
Place all the World War II games with place all the weapons with paintball guns and have everyone wear bright colored uniforms with smiley faces on their armbands.
I wish I knew what he was talking about here, because obviously he's talking about or trying to refer to the ideology of white supremacy and inferior races and all that crap, right? But he's not actually showing that and how it works within a game. Because if he could point to the game and say, see this game which does this, that's what I'm talking about. Then we go, okay, then I can play that game and say, okay, what exactly is wrong with this scene? And then we can analyze that and say, okay, this is what he's talking about. He's right or wrong here. But he's literally inventing the concept that an ideology is depicted by a symbol, which is not even the symbol he's supposed to be representing.
Yeah, if anything, it would be the swastika, not the Iron Cross and a helmet.
But he's not doing that. So we're sitting there going, what the fuck are you on? What are you talking about?
He literally pointed to the helmet. This is going nowhere.
The helmet is evil.
This helmet is evil. This is the helmet of evil people.
It's Officer's helmet, puts it on. It's I'm a Nazi.
Whew. Usually when you see a depiction of a military organization, the Romans have the eagle and all that. It's oh, okay, this is representative of that group I can identify with. I think there's some some Belgian guys that were known for being amazing soldiers. Of course, America has all kinds of elite soldiers. Like, you associate that with a certain mentality, a certain discipline. Again, I talked about this before. These are all good things. There's not one military organization that I'm aware of today that are still standing that are despicable, that they have like vices, they're untrained, they're not just a bunch of despots running around. They're all in service to their countrymen. It's all about courage and honor. So I don't know how he's connecting military with Nazism and then saying this is now bad because it's in a game, even though it is not literally in any game I can see, because he hasn't pointed to one. So, whew. He is just stretching this so far.
Now, does this make us totally ignore the history that comes with them? No. But for some people, it moves them from the territory of revolting to just edgy. It makes scrawling a swastika on something change from unthinkable to just dangerous.
So what?
What?
Let them.
It's been like this for years and years, decades even.
I've seen kids put swastikas on the sides of walls,
Like, people who want to be edgy will use a swastika sometimes.
Yeah.
Haven't like most swastikas been done by left-wing people to try and
Yeah.
garner attention? So it's like
most
you're
of
the
them
guys
do.
who are actually propagating the hateful ideology by doing these symbols.
I mean, even beyond the whole political uproar, I mean, people like Marilyn Manson has collected actual Nazi paraphernalia. And they have, I mean, the symbol of Nazism has been used by kids wanting to be edgy, musicians, artists. Everyone who wants to have that little edge to them or have a little darkness to them, they use the swastika. It's been going on for a long time, even before video games have reached the height that they have right now.
This is kind of almost the vibe I get from the video, because there's not much substance to it. And it's just this weird take on a popular genre of a video game and saying, hey, you know what? When you put these things in a game, you're actually the things in the game. And you're like, what? This is wrong. Like this has been addressed a long, long time ago. And we have to bring this up again because of this wonderful gentleman who, I mean, this is pretty much a picture of him. Like he is making a video with spray paint on. I guess this is a cat with a really
Back
funky
up the
looking
cat.
tail. And that's just like, what are you doing? YouTube's like looking at you like, what are you doing, buddy? Okay, let's see. I got a bunch of super chats. Let me just read them. Maybe he's trying to make a patriotism versus nationalism argument in a really really way. I don't
hope
think
not.
so.
I hope not. This
That's
guy
a
would be,
very roundabout way of explaining.
this would be awful. This would be worse video than I thought it would be.
That would
was
be
his
like,
goal.
you know what? I represent the troops, and I don't like it when we talk about Nazis. It's like, what?
Okay.
Are you a Nazi? Then what's the problem? Okay. Let's see.
Talking about Nazism. No one. But I don't like it when we do.
I was ranting about this hours ago. Neat to see you react to that crap. Keep going, guys. Happy Independence Day. Thank you, Luke. Yeah, I was pretty not riled up, but yesterday I was just like, this is ridiculous. We got to talk about it. So I got my two favorite ranters with me, so we'll be good.
It means you might not take iron crosses all over a website as a warning sign that you should immediately leave. And
Right. Oh my lord.
Iron crosses all over the website? What?
That's just, yeah. The thing is, though, is just that because the left is kind of, because they've gone so far left, they've gone off like the deep end, as it were. Well, they're already in the deep end. It's just, you've got a natural counterbalance of conservatives which are rising up. And they're trying to do their own little edgy take on like, oh, the Nazis might be sneaking in and weaving into the mix. It's like, yeah, they will try, but they're mostly still reviled. They still will get their head clubbed over, It's
Everyone hates Nazis. Okay?
Yeah.
Everyone hates Nazis. I'm not sure why they can't get this through their head that everyone hates Nazis. The Republicans over here in America, the Republicans hate Nazis. The Democrats hate Nazis. Left wing, right wing, everyone hates Nazis. Everyone hates Nazis. Everybody. Even other Nazis probably hate other Nazis. I mean, you have like these different Nazi-esque groups have infighting constantly because they disagree with each other's values and ideologies. Like you have the alt-right, the real alt-right, not just the flippant use of the term, but the real alt-right. They are actually a socialist movement, and other like Nazis, the people who identify themselves as neo-Nazis, hate the alt-right because they have different values. The neo-Nazis is about white supremacy, whereas at least what's his name, Richard Spencer's version of the alt-right, his values is he just wants a white ethno state. I mean, he'll allow a lot of people in who aren't completely 100% white, which is why they disagree with neo-Nazis. But that's so even people who have that weird supremacist ideologies, different factions of those ideologies, they hate each other too. So no one likes these people. Nobody does.
It's like communism, but everyone hates commies.
It's they weren't real communists. They. How about these people? They weren't real communists. Okay, we'll try it. And then
the real ones are dead.
They weren't real communists either. It's never been tried. It's never been tried.
Does this guy have a cross embedded on the back of his head? Like, what's going on there?
I guess that's what the video game does. It just sticks an iron cross right in your head when you play it.
Oh, that's a face. Okay, it's like it's hanging off his head. There's two hands. Okay. Those are eyes. Yeah, okay.
I think we're going on the premise from this point on in the video that the Iron Cross is 100% a Nazi symbol.
Oh, God. How can you make that mistake? How can you honestly spend more than 2 minutes Googling Iron Cross and not figure that out and not read a sentence saying this is the symbol of the German military? Da, 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 da.
Well, you see, I've got my degree in underwater basket weaving, and that makes me an expert on the.
I think it's exactly how this information comes across. Like, okay, I want to do a video on Nazism. Let me ask a guy who once knew a guy who once knew a guy who once went to college once, and then he's going to tell me all about Nazism and iron crosses and swastikas and stuff.
Yeah, he's probably like hitting up a blunt. He's like, right, this is Nazism, guys.
German soldiers wore this during World War II, therefore it's Nazism. It's total white supremacy. It's Nazism.
I'm sure the actual Allies would have called all of their enemies Nazis just to make it easier. But, I mean, that was 100 years ago. I mean, it's not the nomenclature we know and understand. And we understand the difference between the two, especially nowadays, because that was a dark part of history. And we've moved on. We have grown above the concept of wanting to start wars because of people being different than ourselves. I think humanity has grown. And I think we're smart enough as well to differentiate between reality and our fictional worlds that technology has provided for us in the form of interactive media. So,
not in the world of the far left where people marrying like pirate ghosts and stuff, I guess.
Well, if you want to marry a virtual character on your story-driven Japanese dating sim game, you
marry your pillow or something.
You do that, man. You go for it. I mean, all power to you.
I got my information from Tumblr. It's from clownpenisfart.tumblr.com. That's where I get all my Nazi information from, guys. I'm really super.
This guy I learned from totally said he was like a world-class professor, but he used a screen name to keep his identity a secret or something.
Yeah. his username is anonymous. That's how you know he's legit.
See, that's how you know.
This whole cross watching over you is kind of like a Big Brother moment. It's like, oh, the Nazis are watching you. You gotta clear your cookies and use incognito mode everywhere you go, or else they'll call you up and see if you want to get recruited. It's like, what? What's going on here?
And if you don't leave, you might start reading and buying into hateful ideas there.
What?
It seems like...
What?
Okay, can you go like 2 seconds without saying something incredibly stupid?
So if there is a website that actually has white supremacist paraphernalia for the hopes of recruiting you, and if you go there and if you stay there and if you actually read it, you might actually become a white supremacist? Really? Okay.
You don't have to agree with any of it. You don't have to like sympathize with its tenets or anything like that. You just, by the simple act of reading it, you just become a Nazi white supremacist.
So did Did the Battlefield 5 edition come like the collector's edition come with a copy of Mein Kampf or something? Did I miss something?
No, I now identify as a red-headed amputee cyborg. Uh,
I guess what does white supremacy Nazism just transfer people through osmosis or something? You have to be near it
Yeah.
and then just absorb it into your skin.
Yeah, it's like as soon as like you join the Nazi side, like all this Nazi propaganda just like floods in front of your screen. It's on your tablets, on your phone. You're like, oh, it's everywhere. You turn around and you're like, no, I've become one of them.
You grow a little mustache and everything.
Yeah,
Where did this come from?
it's like a zombie virus.
He's, he's turned into Nazi. I got bitten by a Nazi.
now, now he's identifying the slime creature from various kinds of Japanese RPGs as a form of osmosis. He's going to start imparting Nazi ideology through our skin. So all the moisture and knowledge is going to, as we sleep, is just going to absorbed. Whew.
Such a small and simple thing. But it's things like this that erode our safeguards against dangers we sacrifice so much to fight.
Okay, how is normalizing something? Okay, let's say we've normalized Nazism, right? Okay, so let's actually say like the censors weren't there, so we actually have swastikas and all this crap. And let's say there's a story mode. There's a single player campaign where you play as a Nazi and you win the war or whatever. How is that normalization, if that's exactly what he's calling for, destroying a safeguard if such a thing existed? I'd like to know because I can't rationalize that. If everything he said was true, how even at the end of the day, let's say I did all the things that are happening, that he says are happening, and I do it. I'm like, okay, I just passed the game. Nazis win, great. Now what? I'm now a Nazi.
Yeah, I'm now apparently at that point in time, you would not only be a Nazi, but you would also be like you would also sympathize with all their tenets and ideologies and all that stuff, according to this video.
You know what? If it was a really good game and the character I was playing was like a sympathizer, he was like a nice Nazi. He was like saving some people but killing others because you can't just kill everyone.
Yeah.
You have to make some choices that I'm going to help my Austrian brothers. Yeah, okay, good. When you have a little party, you got some conversations going, maybe some relationships. End of the game, you kill the evil American dogs and off into the sunset to Japan or wherever, and voila, I passed the game. I'd be like, hey, you know what? Germans are okay. At least the Germans in that story. But would my dramatic emotions and reactions to those characters make me more susceptible to an ideology that killed millions of people?
Probably not. Because
Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah.
you're just following that around one guy. You're not. You're not like you can like a character and not agree with them 100%.
Yeah, like
You can
I
like
like
that guy.
Liara from Mass Effect, but I probably don't like the Asari Chancellor from the Citadel because of all their stupid misconceptions of the Reapers and not doing anything.
You just remind me of Oblivion, where you start like murdering people and you get is it the Black Hand that come out and say hello to you? It's like that's not how it works. It's like you don't look at some Nazi symbolism and then it's.
I'm trying to think of other actual depictions of Nazis in popular media. I think there was a movie of Nazis on the moon or something. I can't remember what it was called.
I remember that. I forgot what it was called too. But it
Wasn't
was,
what's her name in it? That popular Lara Croft actress?
I think so. I think so. They built a base on the moon in that movie, I think, and then he started invading again. I forgot what it was called.
Yeah, but it was basically just another explosion,
Yeah.
popcorn muncher, blockbuster style game
I mean,
movie.
the premise started off with Nazis on the moon. It can only
Yeah,
get better from there.
it was ridiculous. I know it was totally ridiculous. But
But nobody, no game or movie is normalizing, quote unquote, normalizing Nazism. It's always a joke, or they're always the bad guy. And if they were normalizing Nazism, then Nazism would be something that people just do, and there's no consequence for it. It's like, oh, that guy's just a Nazi. Okay, or that guy's just dressed up as Hitler. That's fine. That's just nothing out of the ordinary. But imagine if someone walked around the sidewalk of the street or whatever and dressed as Hitler. No one would be like, oh, it's just Hitler. It's my neighbor Bob doing Hitler. No, people would look at that person and say, oh, that guy is not. No, he's not someone I want to associate with. That person is like a bigot or something. So nobody's normalizing Nazism, because if they have been normalizing Nazism, it would be normal by now, according to their terms and use of the word normalizing, which is more like along the terms of they're trying to make Nazism normal so that you just see quote Nazism happening and not react to it.
This is interesting because I wanna know how the widespread of socialism and Marxism works, because apparently it has infiltrated into the Western mindset, at least in the universities of the 60s and 70s.
Oh yeah.
And now it's become more prevalent, especially in Canada and all the wonderful politics of today. So it's like that, to me, is normalization. That is where it gets integrated into
because it's being taught. It's being taught like not through games. It's being taught through our education system.
Yes. So you're not educating people through video games. You're not educating them through soccer or whatever. It's through the intellectuals who are preaching this stuff, who are writing books, who are having debates and having lectures. That's
what free
where
speech is about.
That is where we're seeing these political discussions, at least nowadays in the West. I have no idea how it is in Europe, but I imagine the sensibility of socialism is a little different with the European Union and other such groups that they think unity is the best thing as opposed to independence. That's fine. Again, I'm not here to have a political debate. But if we're talking about normalizing to the point of acceptance, then we can easily look to another ideology like Marxism or socialism and see how that works, how that's effective. Because apparently it's not very effective in video games. So I don't know what this guy's so concerned about.
Yeah. Or else it'll be normalized by now. Or
it would be a major thing. We would be like, hey, you know what? I'm not playing that game. There's no socialism in it. Or I'm not playing that Japanese dating sim unless you got like a really hot imperial human first Japanese chick there. I don't know. Something like that. Like that would have to be one of the qualities of a game you'd look for that element. So it's obviously not a trope. It's obviously not an ideology, and it has no impact on the minds of people, children or otherwise, who play these games. So
we've had literally decades of movies and games and all assortment of games, not just video games, but just games in general, depicting Nazis and World War II in a multitude of fashions. If these things are normalizing Nazism, it would be normal by now. And if it was normal by now, then the Nazi Party would more than likely have a strong foothold as a political party again. But it doesn't. People don't like the ideology. It's not normalized. It's a joke. It's the bad guy. It's something to watch out for. You're not going to go around and just see somebody dressed up as a Nazi and then just pass him by without the second thought. It doesn't work like that. It's not normalized. And these games are not normalizing nonsense.
The stupid deluxe edition comes with an armband and a Gestapo hat, you know.
You know what? Pretty awesome. For whatever silly depictions in Japanese anime and manga, I think they do Nazis the best. I'm trying to remember all the things I've seen, aside from the women that look really good.
I know in Hellsing.
Hellsing is probably one of the most violent, craziest versions of Nazism I've ever seen. Like, that's vampires with demonic powers.
It's amazing.
Yeah, amazing. It's crazy. Holy crap, is that crazy. But but if that's normalization, bring it on. I want more Nazism in my media. That's amazing. The second season of Hellsing or third season, yeah, that'd be great.
Right. By the time you've played 100 hours of being a Nazi, they're
100 hours. Let's get to 200 hours. Unlock achievement. You're a Nazi for 300 hours. Okay.
You played Nazis for 300 hours. You unlocked you unlock Mein Kampf.
Yeah, Sieg Heil, little salute symbol.
You unlock Hitler's speech number 1.
You can now buy the SS helmet. It's like, okay. Whew.
Voice stabs become memes and in-jokes with your friends. By the 1000th time you've respawned as a terrorist, you're either celebrating them or making fun of them.
What?
Well,
Celebrating
you're having
terrorists?
fun shooting and winning and losing and fighting.
Well, I'm just not going around and saying, "Oh, right, you're back. It's awesome. And terrorists are back." I'm saying, "You're okay. You're back. Get in there. We're losing or something."
Yeah, it's not like Hail Hitler, Sieg Heil,
Yeah,
Sieg. It's like,
Sieg
no,
Heil.
we're not doing that.
I mean, that'd be funny to do ironically. It's like, "Hey, all right, you're back. You're back. Sieg Heil, Hitler. Let's go kill those Jews or
Yeah,
something."
that would be, that
No
would be
no one's
fun.
saying that.
That would be fun though, because that would be role playing. You'd be role playing in your
No one's
game.
saying that for real. Like, I think no one is going in as a normal person and then saying that for real by the end of the match. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah, but that I could see that happen in like a stupid sitcom or a movie, and this guy's like
yeah.
playing Counter Strike or whatever nonsense. He's like, "See,
I mean-
everyone's looking like,
we
whoa."
terrorists. We do that too. We play terrorists. We like talking like a Arabian accent, and like
Yeah.
infidel and stuff like that. And
That'd be awesome.
eating halal meat, and you know, it's really fun. Play as these bad. This pro play as these over the top caricatures of these people. It's just fun just to roll with it. When you're playing a Nazi, you're playing a terrorist. You just amplify the fun.
Games like Counter Strike, if you play like I think it's like 5 or 6 matches, then you switch sides anyway, so everyone gets a chance to be on the counter-terrorist team. So, like, does he play games? I mean, is he aware that they exist?
This guy narrating on this 2 million plus subscriber video game channel play games. I'm not really sure anymore.
Well, they have
These
an
are the same.
entire playlist dedicated to politics and video games. So obviously he plays games, or else he wouldn't be able to do that.
I'm not really sure. I mean, a lot of people who talk about politics and video games apparently don't play video games. Clearly, don't play video games. Not naming any names, but it's obviously the case.
Just to warn you, too. Actually, these are the same people that defended loot boxes, but in the sense of they were saying that the industry needs them to survive despite record level profits, and they also defended Mass Effect Andromeda, saying that the facial animations were so. These are the people that we're dealing with here, folks. Scum.
Are these guys like all clones of Matt Jarbo? What's going on here?
Well, I hear Matt Jarbo actually does do cuts or edits in his videos now, so maybe he's getting better. It's not just one
His
take.
opinions aren't getting better. He's always wrong. He's always wrong. He always sees what's going on and takes the exact wrong play.
Yeah, he screwed up with was that Carlos Maza?
Yeah, he's like, "Oh yeah, this guy was great. I mean, this guy's awesome. He did nothing wrong." Everyone hates you now.
Everyone hates.
Like that's such a Matt Jarbo opinion. Just like the
Exact
wrong
opposite
thing.
suggestion.
Yeah.
No thought, no contemplation, no understanding of context.
If I'm pretty sure if Matt Jarbo got robbed and mugged on the street, he would side with the robber. Well, yeah, he probably need my money. He probably is better off with it than I was.
I hit it in my
Somewhere.
boulder. If he's strong enough to carry the boulder, I think he's stronger than me, so therefore he should have it. Whew.
Neither of which helps the global crisis we have that takes thousands of lives every year.
It's a freaking game, man.
Are you serious? Are you? What is he doing?
Is
What
this
is he
okay?
doing? What
Is this
video?
crisis? Is this crisis global warming? Because I see a bunch of clouds, or is it like Italy getting bombed, Central Africa getting bombed, the Middle East? Like,
They're playing a video game. Like, you playing this video game is not helping out the global terrorist conflict. They're playing a video game. What are you doing?
why can't you help the world? What's wrong with you?
Why aren't you playing this video game in a fashion that would help the entire world? Hmm?
You know how there was, I think it was early 2000s. You could download these apps to not apps, but basically things for Windows. And one of them was, I think you'd still download. I don't know if they still exist, but you can actually use your computer's memory cycles or your processing cycles to help whatever computer process, let's say a genome or some sort of test that computers were running. So it was like cloud computing,
Mm-hmm.
and it would essentially help that scientific body get to their solutions faster or whatever. And you could do all these things. You could just use your processing speed. And then people realized they could mine Bitcoin in 2006. So it's like, oh, I'll just do that. So it's like, yeah, we have methods to use our technology passively without even actively doing anything, whether it's solar panels and feeding it back into the grid or whatever. So these things exist, but should they exist in a video game? Should we have to have some sort of productivity associated with leisure? And the answer to me would probably be no, because
no, it's leisure time. It's
the
your time
opposite
away
points.
from everything.
Yeah, you want to separate the two as much as possible. So why he's even bringing up the fact that you should be doing something in a thing which is dedicated to fun is mind-boggling.
I'm almost getting, from what he just said in this video, I'm almost getting the vibe that he doesn't really like video games and that he absolutely hates them. Because when you're playing video games, you're not helping solve global warming, or you're not fighting terrorists for real or something.
It's okay. I think we could just sit on this point right now and end it, because I think everything after this is going to be crazy. But if it gets any more entertaining, I want to keep going, because I think I stopped around here too.
For every hour that you play in Counter-Strike Go, it supports ISIS. Did you know that?
Did you know that? Every hour you play, the terrorists win.
So what do we do? That's easy. Don't make them morally equivalent.
They're not morally equivalent, though. That's the...
I don't think morals are even part of the equation.
He's just jumping the shark.
Why
He's starting off at one platform. He's jumping off to another point.
Why is that American soldier? I'm assuming it's got a grill on this.
What is that?
I don't know what that is. It's like a jail.
Yeah.
Like a jail.
A furnace, maybe?
Demon.
Go directly to the jail. Do not pass go.
It's the Germans versus the evil empire of the...
Is it a British symbol I don't know about?
I don't know. It's the 4 red bars.
There are 4 bars.
Okay, let's just see what he has to say about the moral equivalency of the German military and whoever the hell these guys are.
Don't make there be no in-game moral difference between your Nazis and your allies, between your terrorists and your counter-terrorist squads.
But then you'd have like, I don't want to play the Americans today because they're evil.
This is a shooter game. This is a shooter game. I don't care about moral equivalency in a shooter game.
It's like, even if you did make that argument, it's like, what's the role of the terrorists? To plant a bomb to destroy an object. That's what terrorists do. What's the role of the counter-terrorists? To stop them.
Yeah, to stop them from doing that.
Excuse me, as my brain works. Sorry.
What was he about to say here? I'm feeling it's really stupid.
And he's showing,
Sorry,
he's showing people with Nerf guns or
And water
water
guns and
guns.
Hey, that could get in your eyes. Don't ever diss that. You know.
Isn't this
You
like
could
the
drown from
wrong
it.
kind of fight? You have one guy with a Nerf gun, the other guy with a water gun.
The guy with the water gun could have like a mixture of DMSO and like cyanide or something. So that water gun could be pretty dangerous.
Their own personal flamethrower. Like, got petroleum in there. Like.
I'm like, what is going on in this depiction? What is he trying to say? Does Nerf actually make water guns?
I don't think so.
No, they're all just foam darts.
dart.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe he's trying to say that games should be more like Nerf.
Maybe it's like
Non-violent.
really sweaty Nerf. Like,
I don't know what he's talking about.
Terrorists have Nerf guns. Counter-terrorists have water guns.
yeah, that's gonna work, isn't
But-
it? Like,
but you see,
hit me,
there's-
you know what?
There's a Nerf scarf head thing, and then there's a Nerf barrel, and then there's a Nerf. The other team is wearing a Nerf chest plate.
Do you need armor in that sort of situation?
I don't think so.
I think for these kind of people, they need
Yeah,
armor.
maybe the safe space people, they might need like the armor that might get bruised from the foam dart.
Whew. Okay, I've lost what he's saying. Let's just see what he has to continue with because I don't know what's going on.
Frame PvP as a training exercise, or simply take one of your non-odious sides and recolor them so that it's red versus blue.
Oh, so just completely whitewash history then. Okay,
Yeah,
great.
just it's I thought it was a World War II game, but
So-
I'm not fighting Nazis. I'm fighting guys in blue uniforms now.
So we all happen to have the non-Thompson rifles and the non
Not
whatever
MP40,
whatever the German guns were. They're just sort of generically guns.
MP38, MP40. It's just pop guns and Nerf Nerf guns. They're pink. They're all pink and yellow and all that stuff. This is total safe space mentality.
This
But
is retarded.
this is all they're doing is repainting the skin. So basically, his argument is that people can't handle seeing historical depictions of soldiers.
Yeah, and they're worried that people are so easily mind swept that they'll just see a symbol or a depiction of something like that and they'll be like, yeah, I might agree with it. It's like, no.
That or that's a German soldier. I'm going to collapse in a catatonic state. My life is now ruined. My mind has snapped in half because I saw an Iron Cross.
It's,
Not even a swastika, specifically an Iron Cross.
yeah.
That's what's been argued in this video so far.
This is I don't know where he's going with this. Like, why would you do this if you're making an actual, not necessarily true to fiction or sort of true to life with World War II, but if you're making an actual historical game where you have, oh, this is what a Thompson rifle is, these are the style of weaponry and defenses and other equipment. It's like you want to see that. You want the actuals. You want to play with it.
Yeah, that's why I bought this game in the first place. There are plenty of shooter games. There are plenty of shooter games where you have PvP. But if I specifically went to go buy a World War II shooter games, I want to have some depiction of historical accuracy. I want to see the British soldier uniforms. I want to see the uniforms of the Soviet Union, and I definitely want to see the people who I'm shooting at have accurate depictions of what they wore back then, because I bought a game specifically to play in the sandbox of World War II.
It's I'm almost at a loss for words. I don't. It's kind of sad just to even see something like this because you're just wiping away any flavor, any coloring of your setting, of your world. And we're not even talking about visual storytelling, like, to identify with stuff. We're just saying make it bland, make it so generic and safe and moderate that no one could possibly identify with it. So
Just
there's no.
repaint them red and blue. I don't want them red and blue. If I wanted red and blue, I would buy something else.
Yeah, it's
Safe space mentality going on over
it's
here.
it's really sad,
ridiculous.
really. I mean, this sort of solution is just who the hell would buy a game of red versus blue, of generic gun?
But isn't this in and of itself normalizing the conflict to red versus blue? Because it's basically saying, yeah, this conflict happened, but it's just, two people on two different color teams fighting over one another.
There's no meaning anymore. There's no context anymore. Just two different people fighting. I mean, Team Fortress 2 made this. It was just about the violence. It's not. There's nothing attached to it. I'm not buying Team Fortress 2 because I want historical accuracy or any sort of depiction of World War II or anything like that.
Yeah, but
I
he's
buy-
not even making that argument. He's not even saying make it so like if he said Team Fortress 2 or a game like that, like Splatoon, which is basically paint,
Yeah, Splatoon.
then
yeah.
you'd be like, oh, okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about. I could point to that. But again, the argument falls apart when you're saying, well, I want to talk about the Israeli conflict, or I want to talk about the Battle of the Somme, or some other historical depiction. It's like, well, then you have to be accurate to what was there. And he just says, no, don't do it. No good.
The Holocaust. How about we just repaint the Germans blue and repaint the Jews red? I think, that's about it. Just so no one gets offended. No one gets offended.
Yeah, the Scud missile launcher is just a giant pinata. He just launches this big thing into.
Auschwitz as Jews come out, teddies come out.
Yeah, you see when they, instead of ashes or anything, instead of dead bodies and piles of dead bodies, piles and piles of candy and unicorns, stuffed unicorns and teddy bears.
Jesus.
Wouldn't that just be fantastic? Wouldn't that be better than seeing all those nasty bodies lying around? It's just very sad. We don't want
whole
that.
fiction. Yeah, because someone might look at that and kind of go, "Yeah, we might want to do that again. That's a good idea."
Oh man, all those bodies. Let's do that again. We should. It's a pretty good idea.
Yeah, I've got a great idea. I can make that better. It works.
Apple comes in. We can make that better. We can make that sleeker, thinner. Those emaciated dead bodies be twice as thin this time around.
I'm
This is
trying
a
not to laugh,
horrible-
but it's just sad. My sadness is greater. This is a gaming channel, guys. This is where
This is a
they
gaming channel.
talk about politics on a gaming channel.
They guess I forgot what games are.
I,
I'm not sure if this guy who's talking or the person who wrote the script for the. I'm not sure if either one of them has ever really played a video game before.
yeah, it's definitely not the guy that, because again, I haven't watched this channel in years, so it's definitely not the same guy. Or
Yeah, Dan Floyd left. I'm not really specifically sure why, but there was some. I just know there was some sort of conflict, and that's why he left on his own.
well, it might have been political for all we know. So, okay, let's see what else he has to say here.
Rather than Axis versus Allies. A good example of a game that does this is Rainbow Six Siege.
Rainbow Six
Six.
Siege. Okay. I'm not familiar with it. I do know Tom Clancy's work, as at least as an author.
Oh yeah, Tom Clancy's all about patriotism and American soldiers versus the terrorists.
I guess what he's trying to sort of say in this game's context is that you've got two factions. You've got the breaches and the defenders, right? Well, the defenders are actually occupying a hostage, which effectively makes them terrorists.
They're criminals, at least.
Yeah, but you play champions really with different skill sets. You're just on an opposing team. I think this is where he's going to go with this. You know,
But if you did this in the World War II game, it wouldn't be World War II anymore. You might as well buy Rainbow Six Siege.
yeah, it's just dumb. Yeah.
Well, at least he's actually giving us a reference. Let's see what he has to do with it.
All of your bomb diffusion and hostage rescue multiplayer with no normalizing terrorists. In fact, by having all of the characters as counter-terrorists training for a possible threat, it highlights how real and present of a threat that is.
Okay, so the good guys are
What?
versus the other good guys?
What? Okay, not normalizing terrorists. Okay, so you're not normalizing the term terrorist. But
it-
according to this guy's own argument, you're normalizing their actions still. Just don't call them terrorists, I guess. They can murder and kidnap and hold people hostage. Just don't call them terrorists. We'll be fine.
Here's the thing, though, right? When you're into the kill house and things like that, the people who are depicting the terrorists in real life, they actually dress up as the terrorists and they use the terrorist weaponry and gear and all the shit. They look because they have to look the part because the last thing that you want is guys looking similar to you and kind of going, this is a problem of like training in general, is that you don't want the bad guys to look similar to you because then you'd be kind of second guessing your shots because you're kind of going, is that a friendly or not? So you make them look like the bad guys and then you can shoot them because it's like, right, those bad guys are going to be depicted in that kind of way. We can shoot them. Done. You don't make your friendlies, your bad guys look like your friendlies. That's what terrorists do.
Yeah.
They make themselves look like the good guys so they can infiltrate, and that's how.
It's a very strange idea to just sort of decrease the things he doesn't like because of a word and what is associated with that. I would love to have a motivation to take part in this aside from just the other team, like to give it a flavor like World War II or a future war or urban warfare or desert combat or whatever.
Mr. Director, what's my motivation here?
Something. I would like to have some setting I can identify with and go, okay, I know what's going on. Arabian Peninsula, I don't know, Civil War of America, whichever. Okay, got it.
Your direction is red. Your direction is blue.
Whew, okay.
And if you decide that you need to have both sides be playable, don't make them interchangeable. Don't have players randomly spawn in as one or the other.
Okay, if they're not interchangeable, that means you have to have like factions who are good at one thing and bad at another. but all the games that I've seen with World War II, they're pretty much balanced. They have the same functionality. Like the
They're
engineer
pretty
could have a
similar.
grenade function on their rifle, so they could have like a grenade gun. But so do the Americans. So
Because the both sides, I mean, every side in that conflict more or less had the same things going on with them, at least on a basic level.
right,
It's different guns, maybe different uniform, different
yeah,
guns, but basically all had the same access to pretty much everything
yeah.
on a basic level.
I'm comparing it to like I think it's a game like was it PlanetSide 2 where you had three factions who
Yes.
one team was like really good at energy weapons, the other team was really good at rapid fire, etc. So
Yep.
like that
Yeah,
would
but you got that level of asymmetrical balance. You can do it because it's minor. It's more of a specialism than it is a rapid switch and variation. It's not like, say, in StarCraft you have the Terran Marines versus the Horde, the Zerg, and the Protoss. We're going to get flamed for that one, calling it the Horde. Jesus.
yeah, but he's saying you have to make them different. And I'm like, why? Why do you have to do
Well,
that?
well, you can make them different because you can give them the German equipment and gear that is fundamentally different than that of the
Yeah.
Allies. So it's like he's just solved his own problem there by making them like the German army.
And
But he doesn't want to make them like the German army.
not interchangeable at all. I mean, they have. I mean, they are basically the same, but you have different guns, which is very important in that war setting. Is to have different era appropriate guns for the era appropriate sides, and that's what usually World War II games have, and it does make a difference. It does make a difference.
I mean, it is a solution, but it's a problem that doesn't really seem to exist. It's just like, yeah, make them different. It's like, okay, well, they were different. We'll just use the historically accurate guns, I guess. So, okay,
So
sure.
basically, he just went on a big rant, and then for on one point gave us some examples, and then came back to the same point to close the circle, and said, "Okay, please don't make them interchangeable." And okay, they're not. They're not interchangeable. They're different. We can clearly see that. One side has the Iron Cross, for example. The other side doesn't. One side has the different uniforms, different guns. I mean, they're very, very different. He's not telling us how to. His whole argument was that he's mad that they're being depicted as morally, as not being different,
Morally
depicted
interchangeable.
as not being morally different, that they're morally equal. But he's trying to argue that they're not, and that should be changed so that the player knows that they're not. But making them non-interchangeable doesn't have anything to do with morals.
No,
I suppose actually, if they were going to make them morally interchangeable, like morally different, like if you're playing as like the Nazi side, you have to like go around and club a seal
Yeah,
for like
just go around and kill babies or something.
yeah,
Like,
you know,
if you're playing a Nazi, you have a little extra things you can do. Like,
yeah, you're evil. That's what you're doing it for. You know.
there's like grandmas on the
Oh,
battlefield, and you can steal their purses or something. There's like babies in cradles, you can steal their candy.
Steal the charity funds. You know.
oof.
Kick puppies. Like, okay, then we know that okay, we're bad guys. We steal candy from babies. We're pretty bad guys. And the Allied side could give candy to babies, and they could unkick puppies and stuff.
Give reassuring hugs to the good folk of the land.
That would be better to his point. If he's stupid, if he seriously suggested that.
I'm actually
But his
waiting for a point.
Support his point better.
I want to know what his point is because making them different is like, okay, yes, thank you.
Okay.
There's different manufacturers over the years. Yeah, it's true.
Make them different. Don't make them interchangeable. Okay. That has nothing to do with the morals, which is what you were arguing about in the first place.
Oh, actually, I think that was a thing in was it Enemy Territory Quake Wars had different things like the different like the Strog had like a different way of gaining resources or something. Like they could do something to the human populace that would get them net more things, whereas the humans had like more defensive stuff, like they could cloak and impersonate the Strog. It was kind of cool. I haven't played that game in ages, like 2008 game.
I'm curious what point he's trying to make. So let's just soldier on here.
Allow players to choose which side they're on.
Unless, of course, there's balancing in the game, and you need to have like 10 on 10, not 10 on 25. So, no, that's a bad idea.
Make people choose, or they can choose if there's a place open for them. They can do that.
This is like all under the impression that I don't like the Axis because Nazis. It's like, no, I want to be a Nazi. That's the point. I want to see what German weapons I get.
Well, the other thing as well is that most modern day games, like even the latest Battlefields, all the weapons are interchangeable. It's like Battlefield 4, you could have Russian weapons when you're a U.S. Marine, or I'm not sure if U.S. Marine in that game, U.S. forces. So it's like the gear that makes you fundamentally different, the weaponry is interchangeable. So there isn't really much of a difference. So he's already got what he's wanted, really. It's just you've got side A and side B. That's all what they've really diluted it down into.
Okay, well, he wants non-interchangeability. He wants people to choose whatever side they want, and zero context as to what exactly he's talking about. So it could be any setting, it could be anything we don't know yet. But, okay, sure. Great game design.
Now, of course, this has all sorts of in-game problems, such as creating shorter wait times for fascists, but...
Did he just say shorter wait times for fascists?
Yeah.
Did I hear that correctly?
Yeah, it's like when you go down to the post office, it's like you see a big long queue, and suddenly the fascist booth opens up, and you're like, ah, brilliant. Now.
Fascists over here. Okay. All right, awesome.
Shorter wait times
much
for
better.
Fascists. I can't, like... Is this like a coffee shop and there's like two lines? The fascist lines.
Here's
Like,
the fascist line. Here's everyone else's line. And the coffee's always served on time in the fascist line.
You have to give a salute and you get like 20% off or something? Like,
You gotta hail the fatherland or something.
like, this is the mentality of this person who I'm assuming he's writing some rather colorful things about Trump on Twitter right now.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt.
Because
there's no doubt.
It's parade time in America. And I hope you guys are having a great day, because I don't know how the parade is going. I'll flip on this evening, see how the news is. But this guy's bias is so transparent. It's a bit sickening. And I have nothing against people who dislike or like one organization over another. But when you're this biased and you're arguing a point which is almost nonsensical, like he has some points to make, like, try to make them unique and this sort of thing. It's like, yeah, you could have a good argument about talking about game balance and design to have a good experience, a fun experience in a FPS multiplayer, sure. But the way he's describing it is like, oh, you're a fascist? Well, here's your line.
So his thing is his argument that only fascists would want to play Nazis.
Yeah, if you were a real fascist, I'd be like, I want to know the enemy, or I want to.
Like, okay, if you got to choose, then obviously only fascists to be 100% fascists choosing to play Nazis.
I would have, or I'd want to have conversations on the other side to know how I can identify with non-fascists so they can become or whatever social experiences I'd want to have, because obviously I've spent most of my mental thinking brain power in fascism world, and now I want to go to another place and play a video game and have fun with I don't know. Like, this is really crazy thinking here.
I'm just understanding is the morally equivalent one, because it's not like the game is saying, like, this is the Allied side, this is what they're saying, and this is the Axis side, and this is what they're promoting. Let's have a listen to these people. The game isn't doing that. No game does that, really. At least from a World War II game that I've seen. It's
usually just kill the Nazis, and then you go to multiplayer, and then you might play as one.
Yeah, it's not like every time you go on the voice chat or whatever, it's like, did you know actually that Hitler's tenets in Mein Kampf was actually had some great ideas? It's like, it's not promoting the ideology, it's just saying, you're on side B, and they just happen to be Germans.
They did that. They choose the Nazi side, and all of a sudden they flood you with Nazi propaganda.
Yeah.
Okay, you're obviously a real life Nazi, so here's a bunch of stuff you might be interested in. It's like Amazon or something.
Yeah, welcome to the Brotherhood. Here's your cape.
You just sign on. Enter your address. We'll send you some coins and some hats and some armbands and some very fine Nazi literature. I just want to play my game.
Here's your very first anti-Semitism backpack. go smash up that synagogue. Like, what? No.
I'm very disturbed if the game actually did that. So
Yeah, right.
I want to return this.
All right. Well, now we know his stripes very clearly. Let's see what new spin he's going to take on the normalization of this experience for the gaming public and the good of the game. I hope.
You know what? Those wait times could be artificially extended if it meant players had an active choice in what teams they would represent. If you're saying we need people playing Nazis in our games.
Okay, so now he's making a control in a game that will make the experience worse because he thinks there are Nazis in his game.
He wants to make the Nazi side wait longer artificially, so that because there's according to this, he's going to have a shorter line because only actual real life Nazis would want to play on the Axis side.
This is so demented. He's literally thinking that Nazis are playing this game, and they want to play as Nazis, so we're going to give them longer wait times. What?
So that people can, because all the good people, the good citizens can play as the Allied.
As if playing the Allied as a Nazi is somehow going to change his mind. Like, oh no, let the Nazis play the Allies. Okay, that'll really show them with their shorter wait times. What is this?
This is a pretty weird mentality.
This is bizarre. This is I'm on planet Zatar.
Pretty sure this is only makes sense if you subscribe to the narrative that pretty much all of America is made up of Nazis now.
Anyone who does not think the same way as I do is a Trump supporter and therefore a Nazi. Yeah, it's pretty much
therefore
what
a
it is.
Nazi. Yeah.
You disagree with me. You're a Nazi. Of course you are. Because only a Nazi would disagree with me.
Only a Nazi would play the Axis.
Oh my God. Okay. I don't think we're gonna get any more surprised than we are now because this is pretty stupid.
I think we've hit a new low for humanity in this one.
Remember, this is a channel about making games more fun or bringing meaning to games.
It used to be anyway.
I don't know. They had some hit and misses there, some really good ones, but some of them were just like, ooh. I stopped watching years ago, so don't think I'm going to start again.
And if you're going to say, but we need it for historical reasons, then your game better actually be historical.
Yeah, that's generally what you do when you do things historically accurate. This game needs to have.
I really wonder what he's going to say now. What is this argument? Like, okay, we're playing this World War II game, but you're going to argue about it being historical? Well, let me argue against that right now. So, what's he going to say?
Is this a space game? Well, you better have some spaceships. It's like, oh, okay.
If you're saying that my space game better have space in it, well, let me tell you right now why that's wrong. What's he about to argue here?
Yes.
I'm 100% atmosphere.
Yes, the steakhouse should, in fact, sell steak. We know that, okay?
Well, let me tell you why that's wrong. Steakhouse does not have to. If you're arguing with that, your steakhouse should sell steak, well, let me tell you about that right now. So let me tell you why you're wrong. This is kind of the argument he's about to make.
Yes, so you're alienating the vegetarians, I'm sure.
You can't really just hide behind the fact you called your desert map El Alamein and say, but it's historical. If that were the case, you need your PvP to at least represent real historical events.
Wait a second.
No, you would not. PvP to represent real historical events? That's not. What are you talking about? That makes no sense. Maybe in a multiplayer, maybe in like a single player game, the single player campaign, yeah, that's pretty much the point. But not in PvP. In fact, Extra Credits made a video on this very topic. They made a video a long time ago, centering around the Total War series and how come it's not about the historical context. It's about the historical context and the values and the ideas of that era. Which is why the Total War games that they said that Extra Credits said were important because it puts you in the mindset of that era rather than relying on the importance of historical accurate events. This is the same exact argument, except they've taken the opposite position now. It's not about portraying historical events historically, it's about putting your mindset into the era and the time and the values of that specific war. So it's not about portraying PvP, okay, historically and accurately. It's about portraying your PvP as it was depicted in the war itself.
Yeah, it's like whenever you translate any form of media, whether it be movies, games, and things like that, it's like a Black Hawk Down. There's many characters in that got amalgamated just for series of, you just can't have like 142 acts in the whole thing. So you're just gonna have to take some, as they call it, creative license.
Yeah, there
With these
weren't like
things.
there's
That's
five
fine.
guys on each side running around. There are lots of people on
Yeah,
each side.
it's like it's going to be larger than Planet Side 2. You have like 30 million people on the same battlefield. I mean, mind you, though, the whole terrorist thing would be interesting in terms of asymmetrical balance, because the counter-terrorists always, real life, always outnumber the bad guys, but the the good guys have to watch the backgrounds and things like that. So the bad guys could just be wreaking havoc because they've got no objections, have they? So that'd be interesting.
Well, I think it's nice to have historically accurate games like Assassin's Creed, where you actually get to explore architecture that may in fact be
Yeah,
to scale. I think that's great. But if someone wants to make a game about, I don't know, the American Civil War, and suddenly they have I don't know, 1920s machine guns, it's like, okay, that's again anachronistic. You can do crazy stuff like that. Maybe it might make the game more fun. I don't know, but if that's the point, then great. Like, you know how there were anachronistic elements in BioShock. You know, you had all this music, you had all these events and characters. It's like, oh yeah, but that's what made the game part of the story. There was this time traveling or resource, not resource, dimension hopping characters. So, I mean, just because it's historically accurate doesn't mean it has to be 100% historically accurate. You want to, the focus is still the game. So I'm sure that, again, we talked about this before about Assassin's Creed, how some of these buildings are probably not exactly perfectly to scale, or not every handhold of the Sistine Chapel existed then, or whatever. You know, it's a parkour game, so everything has to be climbable to some degree. So you still have to think in terms of a game and what's the most fun that you want to get away with while trying to be historically accurate. So, like, again, you need that creative freedom to do what is fun, and it's up to the creator or designer to say how much creative freedom and how much historically accurate you want to get. So I
this is weird because that's exactly right. And Extra Credits did a video on this exact topic. How it's not about historical accuracy, it's about the historical accuracy of the era, not the events, more or less.
Yeah,
So
and
this is pretty
how
big
strict
switch
you
up
want to
here.
get with being historic, like everything, the speech patterns, the costume, the music, the color of the paint they painted the walls, all this crap. It's like, okay, you can do that, but why? Is that fun? Probably not. So until you give me a fast firing gun of some sort, I'm probably not going to care. Um,
And which guy actually left? Was it the guy who was from Pixar Studios that the XD who left extra credits, or was it the actual guy who worked at the game design college thing?
The guy Dan Floyd was the guy who left. He's an animator. The other guy was James, and he was
Okay,
the supposed game designer. I haven't looked into him, but that's what he was called, the
it's
game
really
designer.
funny. Yeah, because when they first set up, he was an ex like DJ from Pixar, and that's how he kind of got into this gig. James works at a game design college, never published a game in his life, and yet he's going around talking about how we should design games. It's like, okay, we should be listening to these people, I suppose. You know, hey, they might have good ideas. You never know. So,
you can make a horribly uh, premised project work well. It is possible, but not with the mentality. Like, I don't even know what half the crap he's even addressing here. How it translates to gameplay, or because we know there is no impact on the social reality of people shooting people in a video game up. So it's like, but he's so concerned about the alt right, I guess, because there are no actual Nazis we can point to in North
And,
America greater than our hands.
and the Nazis were defeated in 1940s, like 1945. That's when the Nazis were defeated. The only thing we have now are Nazi fanboys.
Yeah, there's a lot of in that time period. There was actually a lot of rise, especially in Britain, and it's like those are mostly being crushed out. So
Yeah, no one likes these people. I mean, it's not they're not a very big threat. And the alt-right is the new Nazis, I guess. That's what they call them now. They call these alt-right people Nazis. They're not. They don't have that much power either. They're just kind of on the fringe of society too.
So it reminds me of the Mitchell and Webb skit of like bunch of all the Germans like, are we the baddies? They've all got like skulls. So I love that bit. Maybe we're pirates. Pirates are fun. I didn't say we weren't fun, but they're still the baddies.
Whew, okay. Another minute and a half, guys. We can do it.
Push it to the limit.
And be a realistic take on those battles. Once you make both sides balanced, it's also no longer historical. And you can't really say
Okay.
You made a video on this topic. Did you do you not watch the videos on your own channel?
It's like you're playing it on a controller. You're not picking up an actual rifle, going out into the middle of the desert and shooting. Therefore, it's not historical. It's a game.
Someone should send the extra credits video to this guy. Say you actually your channel disapproved you a long time ago. You're wrong. Good day, sir.
Well, the argument is that the game is not balanced, therefore it's historically inaccurate. It's like, and your point is
History was not balanced. Everyone knows the real life events were perfectly balanced.
I don't get the argument for gameplay aside from, well, the number one priority in a game is gameplay, so that's fine. What's your point? Like, what's the problem? So maybe he's going somewhere with this. I'd like to know, because so far his depictions of history and morals or ideology is kind of circumspect because they don't translate to what he's talking about in a game, and I think it has to do more with his mentality. So let's see.
that you need Nazis anymore for historical accuracy. Oh, and once you let players get cool weapons,
See that? This I like. This image is my favorite image out of this whole video because it's like fun gun. It's like, yes, that is what I want.
You want a fun gun? It's called an MG42.
Oh yeah?
It's an awesome. Yeah, it shoots like 1,000 rounds per minute. It's awesome. So,
Because it's not really about historical events. It's about the historical ideas of the era, which is from the same video. Yeah, we want the historical depictions of the uniforms and the overall political arena and the theaters of war, but you can still have a very fun World War II game, historically World War II game, and have really awesome, cool, futuristic guns in it. It's completely doable. They do it with Wolfenstein, actually. They have like laser guns and electric guns and stuff, but it's still World War II. It's still identifiable as World War II, and still clearly the political arena of World War II, just with better, more awesome guns.
And that's purely on gameplay. It's nothing to do with making a single player story driven game that people would love to identify with all the historically accurate events and landmarks, and maybe some made up people that you'd have a drama, you'd have a comedy, you'd have a romance, you'd have all these wonderful storytelling things there. We're talking strictly about gameplay. So sometimes it's okay to break from reality or break from history for the service of the medium, which is games. So again, this just makes, I mean, out of all that dismal crap were shoveled, this is perhaps the light at the end of the tunnel. So yep, these guys at least know the focus of a game. So who knows?
Fun and gun.
Yep.
that weren't actually at that particular battleground, it's also no longer historically accurate.
Thank you so much, Mr. Obvious. That's great to know.
yeah, it's like name a game that's trying to be historically accurate, or at least in terms of the authenticity of that particular time period, and is including a laser rifle. Please, I would love to hear it.
His
because I can't
argument is really it's either has to be 100% historically accurate, or it doesn't have to be at all. It can't be at all. Either one extreme or the other.
It's either 100% or everything beneath that, 99.99 or less. Go for it. It's like, thanks.
100% historically accurate, or you have red and blue teams with Nerf guns and water pistols.
And if it's 100% historically accurate, then you're making people turn into Nazis.
Yeah, making people turn into Nazis or Italian fascists or Japanese imperials or something. Or
And you can't-
communists, because communists are in there.
Yeah, that's true.
Declare that your game will suffer if you don't put players in the jackboots of the Third Reich. And once your map is something carefully designed to have good gameplay by a team in a room in San Francisco or LA,
What? What does San Francisco or LA have to do with anything? Is he making a joke?
I don't think they're allowed jokes of his kind.
Yeah, I'm under the opinion that people from San Francisco or LA are very left-leaning.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Very, very left-leaning.
okay, so
Not even the leading part. We just jumped off the ledge of the left.
oh, okay, so
Yeah,
he wants
that's-
his friends who are working or trying to get a job to.
He even has pink hair. I mean, come on. Like,
They're so left-leaning, their clocks go backwards.
yeah.
Battle of Monte Cassino. What? I guess I don't know that one, so. Don't know what the popsicle sticks are representing here, but okay.
and it's not a faithful reconstruction of the actual places the historical events occurred in, you can no longer say we need to have players take up arms in service of terror or hate.
What?
What?
So because it's not historically accurate, therefore you're not making Nazis?
What are they even saying now?
I,
Doesn't make any sense.
well, the idea was that because it's historically accurate, you're attracting Nazis or making Nazis, and if it's not historically accurate, then you're not.
Then you don't. If it's not historically accurate, then you shouldn't have Nazis. I think it's what they're kind of saying. That if you're being 100% historically accurate, okay, you can have your Nazi soldiers, but you're making Nazis. You shouldn't do that. If you're not being historically accurate, then you shouldn't have Nazis at all, or you shouldn't have the option of players playing as Nazis in the multiplayer. So when they play multiplayer, it should go from Nazis versus allies to red versus blue.
That makes it historically accurate.
None of this makes sense. I don't.
Like a flow chart, isn't it?
If this, then like, yeah, if he drew us a chart, if historically accurate, and then all the ifs and thens, then I'd be all right.
If this, then that.
Well, no,
If 100% historically accurate, then you can have Nazis. But
well, that's
if you have
that's
Nazis,
yeah, that's the flow chart for his game design. For us seeing this, we're like, okay, if I play this game, I could be a Nazi, and if it's historically accurate, then I will be a Nazi. But if it's not historically accurate, then I don't know. And then like all the other possibilities of after the game, do I go onto a bus? Do I want to blow up the bus? If not, do I want to research chemistry and explosives? Like, all these life choices I start making. Like, it's just this bizarre series of ifs and thens.
if you do have Nazis, you have to let them choose, but only real life actual fascists and Nazi sympathizers will choose to play as Nazis. So you're gonna have to artificially extend the times. There's a premise that only people that are Nazi sympathizers would choose to play Nazis. That's where he's coming from on that point.
Oh God,
Gotta remember that. That only Nazis would choose to play Nazis.
it's not like stupefyingly dizzy. It's just sort of like, what? What did you say? Like, okay, what? No, it still doesn't make sense. It's just like surface level
Yes.
dumb,
Yeah, he's like the kind of guy who says, yeah, I can have a mochaccino ice cream, Freemasons rule the earth, and a muffin.
It's like, what was that?
Yeah, what was that? What was that? Oh, yeah, one of the muffin. No, the other bit.
So muffin?
And look, we're not saying we can't have games about World War II or about terrorism.
Yes, you are. That's exactly what you said.
We're not saying with exactly what we've been saying for the last few minutes. That's not what we're saying.
Don't you hate Nazis, sir? Because he's saying these games make Nazis.
And these games make terrorism.
World War II games that have Nazis in them will make Nazis, so you can't have them.
unless you're wrong, but that means you've been saying crap for the past 4 minutes. It's one of those. I don't know which one. Whew.
We're not even saying we shouldn't make games where you play as a Nazi or a terrorist.
What? You just got done for the last 4 minutes telling us that we shouldn't have games where you have Nazis and terrorists. Have games where you play as Nazis and terrorists. And because you just said, you in this video, sir, just said that if you do have an option to where you can play, where you have a game that has depicting terrorists versus anti-terrorists allies, then you should take away the context and have just red versus blue. You just got done saying those things. What are you talking about?
Like, if he just omitted this point, you would still be crazy, but we'd be like, okay, yeah, at least he's on point. But now he's like, no. Everything I said, that's not what I'm saying. It's like, oh, okay. What are you saying, sir?
Well, you remember the last 4 minutes? Forget that. We can actually say we're actually going to switch things up here at the very end.
Yeah, you better have a closing contradictory comment here on this statement, because I'm like, what? Whoa.
If you're going to be crazy, at least be the consistent kind of crazy.
But what we are saying is that the fact that you're playing as a Nazi or a terrorist in a game has to mean something.
It does mean something. It means you're playing as a terrorist versus the anti-terrorist.
When I play a game like Wolfenstein Enemy Territory, it does not mean anything beyond my understanding that there were Nazis in World War II, and I happen to be playing on the German or the Axis side. That's all it means.
I'm playing terrorist side, which has the meaning of that I'm going to be shooting the people who are on the counter-terrorist side.
Yeah,
that's the meaning it gives us.
He's trying to say that there has to be some meaning behind a depiction of this or that. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I think there should always be some meaning, but the meaning is purely a coat of paint. It's to identify with something and say, oh, I know where I am. I get the setting. I know the time period. Those are walls of a building. This is a bank. I have to go into the bank to steal the gold. It makes sense. It's purely surface material. This guy wants, okay, well, you have to depict Nazis properly, and they have to have value, and they have to have ethics, and they have to be ethically this or that, and they have to be non-conforming to the American style of whatever ethics they are, and they have to have different equipment, and they have to have different load times, they have to have different queues. It's like, okay, yeah, why? Why is that meaning there? It doesn't need to exist in that kind of game. Again, if he said it about a single player game, he might have an argument. He might have an argument. As it stands, he just contradicted the past 5 minutes now. It's bizarre. It's as if I had a 20-minute rant and I was saying, but you know what? I just forget everything I said, and you can do everything which is the opposite of what I just said. Just do that. It's insane.
It's really strange. It's really strange. It's like going on and on and on for the whole time, arguing against something like I don't know, turning the frogs gay or something, and then at the end of the speech, you're like, well, this doesn't mean we can't have gay frogs, and I don't mean we can't turn frogs gay. I just mean, what do you mean? I think Alex Jones gave a speech of some sort.
All these game design elements which are just now moot. They're like, yep, don't worry about them. It's like, oh, okay. Thanks. You just wasted everyone's time. Okay.
Like,
and
I'm not saying we should get rid of all the Jews. I'm just saying if you happen to walk into an oven,
I'm not saying that.
You can study chemistry and blow up some buildings. I mean, you can.
If it just happens to contain the people that I happen to dislike with,
Well, win-win,
Whew.
Just be a skin. It can't be something that a game randomly drops you into.
Why?
Why not? His premise started off with this exact point, and he never addressed it. He never gave us an argument as to why.
First off, we played a game, and all of a sudden we're a Nazi. And we're like, what? No, we're not. Then he's saying, wait, no, you can do that. But...
No, not according to your own argument. You can't do that, because apparently doing that makes people into Nazis.
The ever-shifting goalpost. He's
Do you
doing.
want more Nazis? Is this video about him wanting more Nazis in the world? I'm not really sure what's going on here now.
Okay, so we can just get through the end here because I think we've sort of given up on this man's words. So just charge right
He's
through.
obliterated his own arguments.
Yeah.
And really, if we are saying anything in this episode, it's this: games can do better. And in this
That's the message.
James, you are winner now.
I thought it was that games turn people into Nazis or terrorists.
That's
correct. Misogynists and all kinds of manner of things.
Gotta have
Yeah.
they turn people into Nazis, and we gotta let them choose, and if they choose, that only Nazis will choose to be Nazis. So it's a whole mess.
It's no, this is nonsense. Really, this is really sad. See, if we didn't have these last 15 seconds, at least I'd understand where he's coming from. But now he's like, yeah, no, it's really about games can be better. It's like,
Oh, they can you can still have Nazis in your games. You can still no, not according to your previous arguments. What have you just done? You just smashed your previous points like they owed you money.
I'm not saying all Nazis were bad, you know.
so Nazis are okay. You can play as Nazis. Terrorists
And it
are
makes
okay
you-
too.
Makes you terrorists, but I'm not saying that you can't have those because he's okay with games creating terrorists and Nazis. You can have those games creating terrorists and Nazis. He's a-okay with that apparently.
Whew. I'm glad I have some alcohol nearby. Okay.
particular case, it's not even that hard to do better. And it's no more costly to do better. All it requires is that we in the game industry be cognizant of the world around us.
That reminds me of there was one of those Democratic what are they called? They're choosing the next president to fight against Trump, and there's this one person who says, "I'm going to use love to fight Trump because Trump uses hate or something." I was like, okay, right, sure.
Is he Care Bear?
It's just Captain Planet, you know, heart.
If we just meditate and think about game design, we're going to make better games.
If we think about game design, if we actually put thought into it, maybe we might make better games.
I mean, he's not wrong.
Does that mean
Technically,
they
that should
weren't
happen.
thinking about it before? Just were they making by robots or just not thinking before?
If I think and plan out my day, I'm going to have a more productive day, I bet.
Yeah.
I hope so. I mean, I'm never going to watch another one of these guys' videos unless they're completely insane because they add some entertainment value to me. This is like
I like their extra credits. I mean, I like their extra history series,
yeah.
but only the ones they used to make. I haven't watched this channel in a long time, like a long time. I think Dan Floyd left like a couple of years ago. I just found out about it like recently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is some crazy kind of gatekeeping for, I don't know, for the gaming crowd, maybe?
We have to approve your Nazis and terrorists.
It's bizarre. I don't know who this video is for. It's definitely not game designers. They'll look at this and go like, "Are you this guy on drugs? Like, what the hell's wrong with this guy?" It's definitely not for social justice warriors. They don't play games like that.
I don't think they play games at all.
Well,
They just pretend to play games.
not hyper competitive FPSs.
Oh, yeah.
There's no way.
Definitely not, because they're losers in those things,
Yeah.
and you can't be SJW and promote anything that has winners and losers. That's just offensive.
All right, we're almost done. We're almost done. 20 seconds. Let's do it.
And what these symbols we're drawing on mean. That we think as we're building, not just about the game we're working on, but about the world as a whole.
We think as we're building? No. We do the thinking beforehand, then we build. We finish the plan.
There's no architects like this planning aspects.
building the house. It's like putting in the sofa before
You
they
know,
put
I
in the
should put
foundation.
some more structures on the bottom. This might fall down now. Don't worry about it.
It's like we do those physics games.
Let's just start building. I mean, you'll get to the plan eventually that we don't have.
Yeah. 16th attempt.
What does that
First
remind
castle,
me of? Oh yeah, Anthem.
little castle in the swamp. It fell over. There's another one in the swamp. That one fell over. But the third one in the swamp. That one burned down and then fell over. And the fourth one stayed up.
Ooh. So yeah, even the closing remarks are bad.
If we can do that, we can take a big step forward for the industry. We can stop helping to normalize Nazis.
Do what? Start thinking?
How did this? What?
If we can just start thinking, then the industry will be better.
What? Where did that come from? If you
Usual
make
platitudes.
games without a plan and think while you build, you'll stop normalizing Nazis?
And you'll make the world a better place.
What is he talking about?
Like, I have no points. This was a terrible video, but I'm going to have something that sounds good at the end.
Oh, wow.
Seems like I made a good point.
Holy crap.
I've
I
seen
thought-
speeches from
I thought
Captain
it stopped
J
getting
when-
bad. This is just like retard. It's dumb, stupid, retard love. Okay.
People in the chat were actually saying it gets worse.
It gets
Right.
worse.
Now you tell me. I would have stopped halfway because I got really pissed off with that. It needs to have meaning, and I'm like, well, no, that's completely the opposite point of a game, to have better gameplay and better online experience and all the features that make a game fun. And usually on this channel, I advocate, yeah, you should have meaning in everything, but how much more meaning do you need in an FPS where you shoot things and the game mechanics are everything you require, aside from making those mechanics better or smoother or faster or whatever. You don't add an extra layer of storytelling to that for whatever ideological reason. That's kind of pointless. It's just stupid. Like it's so stupid. He's wrong on the violence or on whatever the flying crap games do to the brain to change your entire ideology, not just violence. But you're going to start believing in ethnocentrism and I don't know, some sort of ethnic cleansing garbage,
Because you played as a Nazi in a shoot 'em up game.
and that somehow these games attract Nazis and then turn them into more Nazis or whatever. And the game mechanics will make them less Nazis, or they'll
I'm pretty sure actual Nazis are buying games where you just do nothing but shoot Nazis all day. That makes complete sense.
it's bizarre. Like this is not just dumb, it's ignorant, dumb, not understanding of history, not understanding of game design, and then this retarded ending conclusion to saying, oh, it makes me sad. It's very rare I get sad on YouTube. I think it's a combination of the art. See this happy little dude, he's like, yeah, game design is fun, yay. Remember, kids, don't make games that make Nazis. And you're like, what?
Don't be Nazi, kids.
Expecting this from like Dora the Explorer. Remember, Nazis are bad.
Oh, all right. Yeah, I think I need a stronger drink here. This is not helping. But I do appreciate guys for sticking through. Thanks guys for UDP and LiteratureDevil for hanging out with me and
Never suffer in silence. Alone.
never. Yeah, no, I would have probably stopped doing. Like I have a bunch of videos I want to make, and this was like, oh my god, I gotta talk about this. But I was like, is it worth the effort to pick apart a complete insane person who's ideologically driven and has no regard for knowledge and history and game design?
To point something out, this channel has had pretty good ratings from all their previous recent videos. They had like several thousand likes, maybe a few hundred dislikes. It's been like that. It's been tipped like that, like several thousand likes, maybe a couple of hundred dislikes, until this video. So it's not that like they were on a downward trajectory. It was more like everyone in their audience saw how dumb this video was, and they said, "Nope."
I don't know anything about this guy because I only know extra credits from that guy with the higher, like, the transforms his voice so it's faster.
Yeah, that was
That's,
Dan Floyd
yeah, that's
from.
the only guy I know. So this guy must be new.
Yeah, I think he's a new narrator.
Okay, so he felt like, you know what, I have a great idea for a video. I'm going to talk about normalizing whatever. It's like the guy's like, oh, sure, go for it. And they just gave him free reign. It's like, yeah, go ahead, make the video.
I guess so, because this obviously at the very least, this video needed work before they published it.
This is how SJWs really operate, isn't it? They take something successful and then they just slam it into the ground.
And they wait till other people build something up that really works, and then they just infect it.
Yeah, I think
a
that's what's
virus.
happened.
So anyway,
Maybe this is why.
I'm gonna call it quits. Happy July 4th, guys. Have a shot of bourbon. Have a shot of your favorite American frontier spirit or whatever you do to celebrate one of the largest countries, if not the craziest country nowadays in the world. I think everyone loves Americans and their funny leader and all the political shenanigans they get into these days. It's always a fun fight on the Twitter sphere, and they've been my favorite viewers. They've been my most, I wouldn't say the most proficient, I'd say the biggest, the largest. Americans are always great to share an opinion, whether it's right or wrong, but they do it proudly. And
The best viewers, the best viewers,
the
greatest.
best.
Believe me, the best viewers.
I'm not an analytical guy, so I'll have to make sure of that, but I could be wrong. But yes, they're very proud and passionate, and I do appreciate all their wonderful comments, as diverse as they are.
As
And-
diverse as the arm rock.
And if you guys want to moonlight as a Nazi, you have that freedom. America's a great country. You're allowed to express yourself under the First Amendment. Go for it. Go crazy. And yeah, I think that's it. I'll have a great 4th of July, and we'll talk to you guys later.
Talk to you guys later.
Ooh.